Fire Punch is a Japanese manga. We're not doing that again, everybody. We're back here with part 2 of our great Fire Punch discussion. We're here with the same group of idiots, frankly. And now I thought through this very long and hard, because, today we're reviewing chapters 14. That's the one we ended on. Actually, I think we talked about 14 last time, so it would actually be 15 through 56. If I'm wrong, it doesn't matter. And, last time I was thinking through everybody's very positive reactions to the Great Fire Punch. EliteAri thought chapter 1 was the best, and he predicted that, everything would fall off from there. We'll get back with him in a second. So I thought maybe we should go to EliteAri first. And then Jarky Bacon, he hates everything, didn't even read the chapters last time. So maybe we should go to him first, and he'll reveal that he hasn't read them again. It'll be a classic. But I'm most confident in Mia liking these chapters. I might be putting my foot in my mouth here in a second. So we're starting with Mia.
So
you don't have to do overall thoughts, just do an intro.
Okay. You sounded like you wanted to hear it.
Yeah, I changed my mind just now.
Yeah, merely been in the saga. If you watch the last one, you know who I am. If you don't watch the last one, Fire Punch, fun.
EliteAri, introduce yourself, but don't say nothing.
All right, hi, I'm EliteAri, also known as OrdinaryAri, but please call me EliteAri or Ari. And I am here
and
again.
Upcomingly, worst Ari.
So true. Yep.
And then Jarky Bacon's here.
You hear that sizzle in the background? Because we're cooking up some hot takes. Because I'm Jarky Bacon. Hey, there we go. Woo!
Bacon don't know nothing about hot takes. Anyway, Vinland Saga's anime is bad, Bacon. Get over
it. Oh my word! I've never heard that one before.
Let's all react to it. Instead, bait him in with Fire Punch. Start watching Vinland Saga videos from 5 years ago.
Crazy.
Anyway. Now, last time I also went first, but, I just love Fire Punch, and there's not a big twist here where I'm going to say that the first part was terrible and the second part was good because it's making fun of that first part. So I'm going to be a proper host, and Mia, you're going to go first. Overall thoughts, my goodness, so exciting. Chapters 15 through 56. Now, I hope you all read 56.
So, after we finish our last discussion,
I'm sorry.
I made food because I woke up at 7 a.m. to record, and then I read all of the chapters immediately, and I could not stop.
Epic.
Ooh.
It was very, very good. Very good. I like this.
So all the qualities of the first part that you love so much carried over to the second.
I have no idea. I my very first note is, oh my God, was Kyle actually right?
No, yeah, the answer to that question is always yes. But okay, we got overall thoughts there from Mia. I like it. We don't have to go into any specifics yet. I've got guiding principles in which will guide our discussion moving forward. So, EliteAri, did it fall off like you predicted last time? But first of all, I want to interject and say last time EliteAri was obviously spoiled and made some dramatic predictions haphazardly that were all true, and it was crazy. EliteAri, do you remember these predictions, and are you gloating right now?
The only thing I remember was the trans thing I messed up. What else did I say?
No, you said, what if the villain is motivated by a Star Wars movie? Unironically, you said that.
Did I?
And then you said the ice witch is actually not real. Somebody said something about a Star Wars movie relating to the ice something.
I remember
and
the
it was
ice
you,
witch one.
But I don't remember exactly what you said. I didn't get to rewatch the discussion, as I've said 3 times. But EliteAri said that, and then I started cackling, and I even made a big point of it. And then you said the ice witch is probably not real, which I think most people said, which is kind of true and then not true and then true again. This is Fire Punch. And then you also said the ice witch would look like Luna.
Did I? Oh my God.
We did say something about the ice witch being Luna.
I do remember.
Now, again, I didn't rewatch
it,
but now that Mia's speaking, I'm like, maybe Mia said it, but somebody said it, and I was hopping mad.
You know what I do remember? A theory where it was I think this was more of a joke, though, where it's every time he meets someone, he has to he thinks of them as Luna or something, and I don't know. Who knows? It's in the past.
Something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, you're a genius, a comedic genius, a something else genius.
Or I just remember
unless
what
you think
said.
the chapter's bad, EliteAri.
Yeah.
True.
Okay. So I guess, what can I say? Generally, did
it fall off?
So I love the Chainsaw Man anime. That was my first introduction to Fujimoto. It's amazing. Yeah. Then I read the Chainsaw Man manga, and I love that, and I might even like it even more. But who knows, because we haven't got to the parts that I like so much adapted yet. Then I read Goodbye Eri, and that's the best thing Fujimoto has ever made, and probably ever will make. I can't imagine. That. Then I read Look Back, and I thought, Look Back, just like everything else Fujimoto has ever made, is a 5 out of 5. But it's not as good as Goodbye Eri, but I love it a lot. And now I'm reading Fire Punch. Last time I said that, the first chapter was really amazing, and then it was okay. It was pretty good. I enjoyed reading it. I was looking forward to the next one. And this time, I would say I enjoyed reading this quite a lot. Okay, it's not up there with the other Fujimoto stuff to me, which I think is all basically. I think everything I've ever seen of him before this is like a 5 out of 5. However, I would say that I would say a lot of the more recent chapters, like after the movie theater stuff onwards, I think are really good. So I am curious to see where this is going forward. But yeah.
God, he's crazy. This one, he's crazy. I will point out, just as our roaming lore as it evolves and develops, Miller the Killer between last video and this video has read all of Fire Punch and has been talking to me about it. And he did also spoil that he hates it. So that's pretty funny. Well, he liked it until oh my God, can I say it out loud? Until Togata died, and then he said it was terrible from then on, fell apart, absolutely terrible. So he's got the exact opposite opinion of EliteAri, so I should just make those two fight instead of me fighting both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, EliteAri, he's an idiot. At first I thought he was just going to say Fire Punch was the best thing he read, but then in the spirit of Fire Punch, he threw a few twists in there. He made you think that was going to happen, only to subvert the expectations and say, actually, it's not as good. Now imagine liking Goodbye Eerie more than Fire Punch. I think I would literally kill myself. Now, speaking of liking Goodbye Eerie more than Fire Punch, that idiot Jockey Bacon's here, and he hasn't read the chapters.
Well, yeah, I must admit, I couldn't read the chapters this time, so I'm going off my memory of when I read it previously. So
he's lying.
Yeah.
He didn't read this far last time.
Yeah, he didn't.
But I did, though. I was just joshing with you guys.
Wait, what? Wait, so
this is another Fire Punch.
This is truly a Fire Punch twist.
Yeah, because the twist is that I read it all yesterday evening after rugby because it was good.
I'm an idiot.
It's amazing. I will say that Volume 3 is clearly, or Volume 2, I reread it all just to actually be up to date. But yeah, it's like that. Volume 1 is good. Then it gets to Volume 2 and 3, where it gets way too meta, and I fall off. But then it starts. They got fighting, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of cooking.
Not
and then like Ari. And then it like has the whole thing where like basically Doma comes back into it, and we happy days with
Doma.
Doma, what a god. To go basically everything after where the guy reads Togata's heart and reveals that like she's trans or he's trans, and that is got a that whole thing, and you're just like, oh my word, thank goodness Togata's being an actual human being. Oh, amazing. And then we go from there.
We hate human beings here. We like caricatures. But my goodness, Jockey Bacon, he read it all. This is crazy. Fuck, I had something else to say in the middle of that, but I forgot because Bacon made 3 jokes afterwards, and it warped my mind outwards. So I guess that was everybody's overall thoughts. I still liked it as much as I did last time. In fact, I think the parts in my head that I had as slower parts weren't as slow this time. And that tends to always happen, because I remember the first time being like, my God, he's fighting this mech for 20 chapters. How about I just fucking kill myself? But this time I was like, oh my God, it's like 2 chapters. I had this exact same reaction the second time I read the Father Mozgus fight in Berserk. I was like, this fucking thing went on for a volume. He was fighting this fucking boring moron. But nope, it was like 3 chapters. And the second time through, you know where you're going, and it's just an exciting time to be alive. Fire Punch, obviously the best Fujimoto thing. Chainsaw Man, in the trash. Goodbye Eerie, lower in the trash. That piece of shit look back, at the bottom of the trash can. Have I read anything else? I don't think so. But Fire Punch is number 1. Now, my goodness, where do we go from here, everybody? Does anybody have anything that sticks out in their mind that they want to talk about?
I think
I've got all the best gags.
I'll be honest.
Who's clicking off what?
Yeah, we spent the last 10 minutes just like yapping about nothing. So
that's what we're here to do, Jockey Bacon. Yapping. Now, there's Togata, obviously. We could talk about all that stuff. We could talk about the trans. We could go in order and do like the little thingy.
Why don't we?
Or EliteAri could say something.
Because I have one overall note, and I thought it'd be interesting to see what other people think. Which is what so far we've read. I think like more than half of Fire Punch now, right?
More than half. It's got 82 chapters, I believe.
So I am curious, since I guess we all liked it. What does everyone like about it? Like, what is the main appeal of Fire Punch to everyone here? I guess that's what I would be curious about.
Let me go first. Oh my God, it's just so funny and it's just so meta. And Togata is the best character of all time.
I didn't even. This is the thing, though. Like, it was remarkably less meta or like crazy or wacky.
Absolutely incorrect.
then I was like, oh no, volume 2, and then into kind of volume 3, I was a bit like, uh-oh, are we just like doing this now? And then it just kind of continued, kind of like normal, where it's kind of like, it wasn't like fully ironic or fully meta. It was like, oh, it's genuine here, not genuine here. And then it does a bit of both. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can get behind this.
Unbelievable. What a poor, objectively wrong reading of The Great Fire Punch. Mia, what do you like about Fire Punch?
You know, I think generally I seem to really like when a story takes its time to set something up and like it takes the time to build. But for some reason with Fire Punch, I think there's so much appeal in how absurd every like next chapter is. Like literally there's just no way of knowing what's going to happen. Anything could be written onto the next page. The farther I got, like closer to the end of this batch, it just it's so ridiculous that I wasn't even taking notes at first, and then I just started having to because it was just so much happening. I feel like when people talk about Chainsaw Man pacing, they should be talking about Fire Punch pacing because this is way more absurd.
Pacing.
I think this is even more like fast paced and absurd than Chainsaw Man Part 1. Yeah.
And it's ridiculously good. Mia just said, that's crazy. But it is true. That's why I sort of outline these tactfully. These sort of because obviously Part 1 you're ending after Togata is introduced. Part 2 we're ending after Togata dies. But I didn't want it to be like I didn't want to come here and everybody be like Togata's dead or something lame like that. And then so then I was like, all right, we'll go past the end of Ava stuff. And then I was like, oh my god, we can't just end there because then we'll have to predict what's going to happen. And then I was like, all right, we'll end when we meet the sisters. And then I was like, but we can't do that because at the end of the meeting the sisters, Agni gets shot and it's like, is he going to die? And I don't want speculation after that. So that's why we ended where we did. So we're not speculating right now about whether or not Agni is dead or something. The answer would have been no, I'm pretty sure. We're not stupid around here. But, predicting things can only equal bad things in Fire Punch, you read it all at a breakneck pace. You never have time to predict nothing, except maybe a little bit. Also, remember last time Jockey Bacon spoiled the sun thing at the beginning? Can you believe that? Does anybody remember that? That was crazy.
I do.
He thought he read all volume 2.
Yeah, Bacon said that.
That's the Bacon thing. Yep.
Yep. Apologize, Bacon?
Nope.
Yeah.
Sun's the best character.
Jesus.
And now he's dead.
My goodness. Never have I heard a more disgusting talking point. Now...
Forgot Sun even existed, to be honest. Sun hasn't done anything since that prison break.
What?
That prison
Barely
break
anything.
He really loves Agniism, all right?
Yeah. Well, he was with Minato, I think that's her name.
Minato, yes. We love that cameraman.
When she was like learning how to drive.
True.
And he's actually alive, actually, isn't he? Because he got out the thing.
He is alive.
They are both alive, or we see them not connected to the tree.
To the tree.
That's all I'll say, except I didn't just say that, did I?
The Tree of Life. A great game. A great movie by Terrence Malick. There you go. Everybody should watch it.
Stop referencing things Fire Punch doesn't reference, Bacon. I don't know anything that Fire Punch doesn't reference. I guess I think we can, because enough happened that I think we can slightly go through. And if we'll go through what happened, and then if we go on a tangent, that's what we're here for. So, no complaining, EliteAri.
Well, I have to give my overall appeal, okay? So, wait a minute, Carl. So, I got to say, I think everyone is wrong here. Kyle is especially wrong about this whole speculation thing, because I think the appeal of Fire Punch is undeniably the world, the mysteries, and the unpredictability. In a way, which is what Mia kind of said about the unpredictability. The chapter to chapter, so much can change and stuff. But my goodness, the best part is like, oh my god, the humans were like, they evolved into like the same person. That's like crazy. What a cool like thing. And like that explains so much. And like, I just love learning about the world. And like, there's this person they're making a tree
what a cool
and stuff.
Thing, EliteAri
yeah, it's like so interesting. This is definitely the appeal of Fire Punch. The world, the mysteries, and the unpredictability. So anyway.
There I say I disagree. I made a joke earlier that Sun was the greatest character in Fire Punch. But no, it's more simple than that. Right. Fire Punch is the greatest character in Fire Punch. Wow. Agni himself, oh my word, what a character! His development.
But everybody was complaining last time he was boring.
No, I wasn't. I loved him last time. I loved him all day, every day. You were the one complaining that it was boring, and he comes along. Oh my word! I feel like the reason why is, the reason why when Togata dies, it gets good is because Agni's like character development is speed ran. And I'm just like, oh, here we go. So it's amazing.
Yeah, we love
I love it.
character development.
Actually,
here, my goodness.
oh no, sorry. When Togata's gender is revealed, then we get the speed run the Agni character to it's like, exactly. I'm the person who likes the big cool guy that looks cool. And there we go. I like him more. Well done, Chainsaw Man. You called me out. I enjoyed it.
You mean Fire Punch? Crazy. Now, Jockey Bacon, what a genius, leads into my first point here, because the first thing we kind of see in these chapters is obviously we retreat with Togata to the village she kind of has, which is only a small village. It develops into a big village later. And then we go back and we attack the dastardly Bechlumdorg, whatever it's called. But anyway, in this segment, there's sort of like Agni questioning himself for being the main character because Togata is just so much cooler and everybody wants her to be the main character, and Fire Punch only got good when Togata showed up, the greatest Fujimoto character of all time. And there is a few chapters where there's very little Agni. And then there's like this part where they're running into... Hold on, what did Jockey Bacon just say?
That's why it's boring. Because Agni is on an
Agni sucks. And there's this moment where they're running through the cells and we start you're back as Agni as the main character and you don't even realize it because he's like running through and he starts having like, you're back in his mind from like chapter 3 where he's thinking about the same things from chapter 3. He's like, man, why am I alive? If I can just kill Doma, I can like die and all this stuff. And he's like that. And he has a moment where he realizes he has agency as a character and he can save the slaves and stuff like that. It's a good little twist back. But that is kind of the first big meta discussion in here is about, Togata should be the main character. She's way cooler. And then it's like, but Agni's the main character. And what does this mean? And et cetera, et cetera. Hold on, let me just read this note here, because I think that's what I said here. Agni saying Togata should be the main character, exclamation point. True! And her absolutely being the main character for the first bit of these chapters. Suddenly, there's a chapter where we're back with, oh my god, I just said this, with Agni, and she maybe turns on him. True, there was a subversion where she was like setting him up to get killed or something. That was crazy. Togata's so cool. And he's about dying, and he's all about dying and ending this farce, he says. And it's the first time we sort of get any internal monologue about what Agni thinks about Togata in this like movie situation. He calls it a farce and you're like betrayed because you love it and he doesn't love it. And wanting to see his mum and dad and all this. And you're like, oh yeah, that stuff. Oh my god, that is exactly what I just said. God, I'm so good at recalling my own thoughts. Agni realizing his agency, etc., etc. So, does anybody recall, Mia, in your big binge? Yeah, I bet you don't even remember any of this.
No, I actually do. I think this is where I wrote that, my God, was Kyle actually right note, because Agni was like, yeah, I'm really bland. Why do you want me to be your protagonist?
True.
That's what I was like, oh God, oh no, I have to write that Kyle made a good point.
Did you throw up on your keyboard a little bit? Did you have to clean up?
Yeah, I had to wipe the tears off the keyboard. What was that, Kyle?
Tears of positivity. He had to wipe off the keyboard.
Sure.
Mia loves me, unlike Jockey Bacon. You know, he just tries to undermine my genius at every turn. Frankly,
when the Togata betrayal thing happened, I definitely thought it was just a way to get the other side to want to fight. I didn't really think of it as a betrayal. I considered it for a second, but I didn't really buy it.
Yeah. Togata does have a line a bit later. I think when the bitch is introduced, the half-naked bitch, of course. She does have a line where she does the Varys thing. Varys from Game of Thrones, everybody, where she says, "I never lie" or something. And it's like, I think that is like a speculation thing about, oh my god, because she totally could have been like setting up Agni to die in this moment. Like she's maybe isn't that attached to him at this moment, but it just kind of works out for her because she is like freaking out when she's obviously trying to set up her movie here where she's like, well, get these 3 idiots, we'll suit them up. Oh my god, what a great X-Men reference, EliteAri. Did you love that when we found all our new bad guys that we were going to beat up?
Was it? I just thought of like when you're going to get the future devil in Chainsaw Man.
With the great Magneto.
Okay.
Yeah,
oh yes, it was just like that. They went down the escalator, just like Chainsaw Man ripped off Fire Punch. Chainsaw Man fucking sucks. Just like when Agni's fighting that guy and he sends him into orbit and he rips off his head and throws it down. It's just like when Chainsaw Man rips out his heart when he's fighting Mockingbird at the end and throws it back down. Fucking piece of shit, Chainsaw Man. And oh my god, EliteAri, did you realize that in the moment?
The elevator I thought looked like something from Evangelion, actually.
Kind of, yeah, when they're going down to meet the great Lilith. And they've also, generally, there's a lot of escalators at the Nerve HQ. Don't worry, we're not done with Evangelion. What was I saying before that? Togata turning on him. Does Togata lie? I guess that was the discussion we were going into. Oh, I was explaining the X-Men reference. Magneto, he breaks in and he sees Juggernaut in there. He's this big dude in a metal suit, EliteAri, and he's like, this guy will work. You not remember this from X3? We just watched it.
Yeah.
There's like an X-Men reference right before.
Wait, are you
so
saying that you think that this is an X-Men reference when they're getting people?
Oh my.
There is a 0% chance that this is an X3 reference. I can assure you of that. What's the similarity besides like collecting people, which is like a generic
First of all,
thing?
they reference Magneto. One of the dude literally has Magneto's powers right after this. It's literally
wait,
Juggernaut
they're collecting
right here.
him. It's not like the guy with the magnetic powers is collecting other people. What are you saying?
No, but that's obviously a reference to Magneto.
How is that a reference?
Thing you know?
It doesn't make any sense at all. You've swapped the characters.
It's literally the same scene.
Not even a little bit, but okay.
Piece by piece,
believe
bit
whatever
by
you
bit.
want. Right.
EliteAri wants an author.
Oh my god!
I think his mic turned off.
He got so mad.
He's gone crazy.
He lost his voice. I win. All right.
Okay,
easy.
thank goodness.
Right.
Thank goodness. Anyway, so he fights the guys, which was cool, and he did his fire punch. He got sent up into the sky, right? And then I just like how
I punted it across the room in anger at EliteAri's stupidity here.
True.
What is a reference? I want to hear a reference
it.
ever if this isn't
like
the most obvious reference I've ever seen in my fucking life.
So,
oh my god, EliteAri's retarded. He's retarded!
Okay, you know what, Kyle? I guess
Whoa.
anything is a reference, I
modified.
guess, alright? Yeah, true.
He doesn't like that word, EliteAri. Why are you making me say it?
Wait, now that I think about it, isn't Chainsaw Man like a Fire Punch reference? That's like crazy, because they're like made by the same guy.
Yes, it's a big, massive
my
reference.
Yeah.
EliteAri's watching Chainsaw Man go to nearly swing with his chains when he's fighting the Bomb Devil, and he's like, this isn't a Spider-Man reference, bro. This is when the chapter's called Sharknado, he's like, oh, well, that actually qualifies as a reference because it's literally in the chapter title. I'm an idiot and can't put 2 to 2 together that this idiot's referencing fucking every superhero movie in this little segment that he hasn't seen X3 and isn't doing it right now. Can you believe it?
Was the manga Sharkman in Look Back a reference to Chainsaw Man?
It was a reference to the great Sharknado, obviously. Now, remember when Luffy is literally
I was actually thinking
Look
it
Back?
was a reference to Finding Nemo and Bruce from Finding Nemo.
I don't remember the reference Baker's talking about specifically, so you know.
He's a shark.
How am I know these things? Then, God, I was going to say something else about references, but I forgot. You know, sometimes I just forget these things. Go get me my pills, EliteAri. Now,
there was a Star Wars reference. Did you guys pick that one up?
Oh, yes, because we actually explicitly said this is a Star Wars reference, so EliteAri's okay with that. My goodness gracious me, how about I kill myself? That's what I'm going to say instead of that other word now. Anyway, that was pretty epic. You know, all that Togata stuff at the beginning. We had a big fight. We've saved the slaves. Sun was there. Ninetto was there, our favorite girl. Togata was there. Crazy. Any big thoughts about this part? You know, he got punched through that building and he burnt the whole thing down.
I think the art was really, really good. It reminded me of a lot of the Chainsaw Man fights that happen in, like, you know, city areas, that level of just kind of destruction. But I think of all the chapters we read in this section, this was probably the least interesting stuff to me. It was fun to read, but this is when it felt most kind of generic to me. Like, oh, here's our group of guys we need to fight. And I was like, okay. And then he did the fire punch, and I was soying, but I was like, okay. But I think, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
I was gonna say when pretty much right after this fight is when I felt like it started getting really good.
Interesting. I do just want to say on the great X-Men reference scene here, it was really funny where they're like, this guy's just like, as long as I get to rape some women, I'll be fine. And then the other one's like, he skewered the face off of 17 people, and Togata's reaction is always like, that's epic. This is great. Let's put him on the team. You know, she's just like the great Magneto when she hired that dude that was just like Magneto. Anyway, somebody was going to say something.
Yeah. So, Mir, would you also include like the car chase scene in this not so interesting part?
No, we're going to get to that in a second.
I would not include that.
I do think I do think the Agni realizing, like, a lot of the more meta stuff that apparently doesn't exist according to some people here, in that beginning portion is sort of Agni realizing that characters have agency and that he has to have agency to be like a character and stuff like that. And a lot of the Fire Punch meta, I guess expressly in most of this segment, is sort of like the announcing that, oh, we've got to do the thing for the story to happen here, and then them thinking through doing the thing and then doing the thing. This happens a lot with Togata when she's dying and she's like, oh my god, I have to have a final line. And there's other moments like that I can't recall, right? So I do really like the scene where he decides that he can free the slaves. Because again, it's like, yeah, obviously, like a character's going to have this moment generally, but the added meta subtext, my goodness, the appeal of Chainsaw Man. Really makes that interesting. But on my first viewing, this was definitely like, besides the very beginning, my least favorite part. So Mia is just like me for real. Now, does anybody else have anything to say about that before I move into cool manga cinematography and we start talking about car chase scenes? EliteAri, defend yourself.
No, I agree. Yeah, wasn't the best part, but it was okay.
He agrees with the meta, I think, is what he just said. Bacon, you want to move on to talking about cool fight scenes where you're chasing people and stuff?
No, I mean, I just liked when he got shot in the air and then he came back down. I just like how it's like.
Did you forget that from Chainsaw Man?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, from cool. Chainsaw Man, going up in the air and falling back to the.
Yes, getting thrown into the stratosphere and throwing your head back.
Notorious.
He's joking right now, everybody. Everybody calm down. He's joking. Wait, Mirai was yelling. I didn't hear what you said. What did you say?
I said exactly what we were just laughing at. I don't know.
Anyway, the biggest reference here was actually to Mad Max Fury Road, which was this whole next sequence of the car chase. I hope you guys got that reference.
True.
I haven't seen that shitty movie, so who cares about that?
Oh my god,
there is one more reference?
Wait, we can't move on. Wait, I thought we were... Okay, wait. The funniest thing, I was cracking up when they all, like, the cars arrived after the fight, and they drove away, and all the people are in cages again. I was like, this is so funny. And we're seeing them, and they're, like, grabbing the cages. I was like, oh, this is hilarious. Yeah. Oh my god.
That was a good joke.
Are we to find slavery funny?
Yeah, in that context, it was hilarious. Yeah. Oh my god.
There's another great reference to the great everybody's favorite, of course, Harry Potter, where Togata is showing I think Judah her secret layer down there, and she says Alho Homora or whatever, which is the Harry Potter spell for opening secret doors. And then you go in and she's got like samurai stuff and a bunch of old stuff. Let's check in. EliteAri, do you think that one was a reference?
Alho Homora was a direct reference. Yes, definitely.
You're an embarrassment, EliteAri. Now. What was everybody just laughing at me for saying that it was a reference when that Chainsaw Man didn't just rip this off? Like, it's not the same fucking author. I can't believe this. Now, anyway, cool manga cinematography. There's obviously the fight with the chase sequence, and there's that long shot on Togata where she's just in the front, but then she fakes being dead, and then she kills the next guy, and then the next guy comes in, and he has a cute little reaction, and then kills the thingy, and then there's the bitch up there. She's got a sword and stuff. She's like, that she controls with her mind. And then we've got the greatest joke in the history of... I think that's her only name. I don't remember, but that's what Togata calls her. And the greatest name in the history of Fujimoto, which is Batman, the man with the bat. Is that a reference to EliteAri?
I don't even remember that.
It's not. It's a joke.
Oh, the guy with the bat, literal bat.
Yeah, I think
you only... All right, I see.
I think you only know his name one time because it's in the I don't know if it's on your shitty version, but on the volume version on thegreatmangasi.com, there's the the thing on the Attack on Titan thing where they list out all the characters.
Yeah.
It's in every manga.
I didn't get to see that.
Yeah, call him Batman. It's pretty fucking epic, but there's a space between Batman.
It's a reference to One Punch Man and the SD hero. What's his name? He has a baseball bat. Much more obvious.
Metal bat.
Similar similarities in characters. It's like metal bat. There you go. Because bat is metal, by the way, Carl. Just to let you know.
Why was his name Batman?
Well, who knows? Maybe it's a double.
I'm embarrassed.
You had a bat?
Oh, and there's another cool cinematography thing. Now, cinematography is not the right word for it, but I'm just using it because one time I was going to make a Berserk video about it. Doesn't matter. Everybody understands the reference, or they don't, and stop correcting me. Kill yourself. See? I didn't say the bad word. But also Agni, when he's running past the cells, there's like a multiple thing where he's running past the cells, and each time it's a flashback of one of his characters. There's another one of these manga one-shot things. And not a one-shot is in that shitty Goodbye Eerie. A one-shot is in, one-shot. So that was another cool thing. Does anybody else have any standout manga cinematography moments? You want to talk about the fight? Go ahead. Mia, you're first.
I mean, not really cinematography, but just on this section in general. Is that good?
Sure.
Cool. Okay. The car gag with Togata in the front seat is the funniest thing in this whole manga. I was genuinely laughing so hard. I loved it. But this fight, to me, this whole car chase section felt like proto Chainsaw Man. Like everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it felt like this. Like the I don't know what Chainsaw Man would eventually be. It feels like the concept was kind of born here a bit. Just like the way the characters are designed and all these freaks showing up and just entering this freak fight. It just reminded me a lot of Chainsaw Man.
Chainsaw Man doesn't have one good fight. I don't know what you're talking about. This one's a good fight.
Crazy.
So there we go. The oh my god, EliteAri, you've just got so much to say on this chase scene.
I guess I can echo the sentiments there that it does feel like, especially the stuff in the anime toward the end of that anime where like all the fiends are getting introduced and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, this kind of does feel like that kind of a scene. But you know what? I don't have anything to say about this. It was perfectly
Remember when
fine.
Togata says that? He's like, oh my god, all these characters are showing up. This is going to be great for my movie. And it's like a little, haha, this is stupid, but it's happening, and it's funny.
We also forgot to talk about the big thing between Judah and
well, I've got a section
when
for,
he
like,
killed her
and stuff. But
So
that also happened. And then the ice witch shows up,
Oh,
and then it ends the whole entire thing. And I'm like, oh my word, it's the ice witch.
I was so invested.
Is Tilda Swinton here? Oh,
had
is
none
this
of
a
you
Narnia
seen
reference?
that? Maybe. Hold on, it wasn't directly said, so EliteAri says it's not a reference. The had none of you seen the Ice Witch panel before? Because that's like the second most famous Fire Punch panel, so that's interesting. Yeah, I think I had definitely seen that before I started. Also, obviously, the meme Agni face is at the end of this, but we'll talk about that later. Dude. That's obviously the most famous Agni thingy. And also, last time I said if you look at that image too long, you can figure out a spoiler, which is obviously that Agni isn't on fire anymore. But I don't think anybody got it, so, you know, we're spoiler free here, except when Bacon starts opening his mouth about the end of Volume 2, like we've already read it. My goodness.
Or your name is EliteAri.
Yeah, true.
True. What did EliteAri do?
I was wrong about my spoiler.
No.
Oh, yeah, what was your spoiler?
What, the trans spoiler? Last discussion?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, now I remember. Now I've got a whole section about best gags, because after this we get into more stuff that you can't break down. So if anybody has stuff that they want to say about this chase sequence or getting away, anything else, say it now or forever be gagged.
Well, while we brought up the Ice Witch, I just want to know what everyone thought when that like first reveal happened, the I'm the Ice Witch panel.
Well,
what did you think was going on?
It's important to point out that right before that, Judah reveals that the Ice Witch isn't real, so it's a bit of the second part of that twist. But,
yeah, exactly.
Anything Ice Witch related, go ahead.
Oh.
I'm curious, what did everyone think was happening?
I would say I was like, oh my god, I can't believe the Ice Witch is real. Everyone's wrong. They're like, this is the ultimate twist here that the Ice Witch does exist. I was amazed. And they were so powerful as well. I was like, oh my god, they like crushed Agni here.
And she also uses ice
and she's
attacks.
not the Ice Witch.
Yeah, that was the bigger twist, but yeah.
Well, it's hard to get twist when you're not thinking when reading Fire Punch, because not much. It kind of teaches you not to use your brain.
No, all I do is think when I read this. I'm like, I'm so interested in the world.
I think you just self-reported that you're not.
Okay, I don't try and think when it comes to plot. I think when it comes to characters and themes, but I'm not like, oh, what's going to happen next? I'm just like, I'm on this ride, and it'll take me to whichever destination it so chooses.
Oh, I love the plot in this. This is.
It is funny because
I guess
we did highlight this earlier, but everybody, I guess maybe Mir and Bacon are kind of similar, but everybody has a very different what is good about Fire Punch thing, which is pretty funny. It's cute. Even though EliteAri, obviously, if we're ranking him in smartness, he's number 4. What an idiot. Doesn't like my references.
If we're talking about the Ice Witch, I have to say, I was every time Sulia, whatever their name is, Sulia, I think it was. Whenever she shows up, I'm invested. Like I'm invested. Page. And like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna like take a break here reading, but no, I'm like, I'm gonna read this now. I'm so, oh my gosh, what's happening? So,
you guys ever thought of taking a break while reading?
Yep.
I'm going crazy right now. I'm just like on my way. I'm just like, this is crazy. And then I read something that doesn't make sense. I'm like, hang on, what's happened here? Oh, we'll get to it. But like, yeah.
Just power through, you'll figure it out.
Oh, it's crazy. And yeah, then I power through. But then I think to myself, should I actually reread it and actually try and understand what's going on? Maybe I shouldn't. One thing I will say, it wasn't as wacky as I thought it was going to be. Dare I say?
See, the Ice Witch stuff, or just in general?
All of Fire Punch. I thought we were going to be like, I think
it's pretty wacky.
It's pretty wacky, but not as much as I thought it would be. You know, it kind of like we're kind of I was expecting more like mess, like, oh, now we're in the cinema stuff, and it's like, oh, we've
Yeah.
actually in a completely different time zone or whatever. Like, oh, now we're on a desert, which I guess they were on a beach at some point. But it's none of this point where I'm like, hang on, where are we? I'm confused, which is why I guess I liked it, because I wasn't confused. I could follow it, which was nice. But yeah.
I think a big piece of the meta, and I think this is very much a piece of the overall Fujimoto Chainsaw Man meta too, is that it does sort of like, it never breaks the story. It's not like Ava does that sometimes, where the meta will literally break the story.
But I was
Epic,
expecting
the greatest thing of all time. But Fire Punch and Chainsaw Man really never do that. The meta is just sort of like incidental, and there's not really like a. I'm trying to think of if there's ever a fourth wall breaking character in either of them. I don't think there ever is. It's always like, theoretically, none of it is fourth wall breaking. The Death Devil, let me think. I don't remember the Death Devil. What does it look like?
The finger comes from the side of the panel, takes the children.
That's true. That's definitely true.
I remember that.
Is that the Death Devil? I'm pretty sure that's got a different name. Oh, it's a contract, right?
Maybe it's the Hell Devil. Sorry, not the Death Devil. Jesus, we haven't seen this.
No, the Hell Devil's the one that looks like the Tomb Raider guy. But anyway, yes, EliteAri, good point. But other than that, the characters don't ever have a moment where they're like, where they have a puck moment even. It's all played very straight, and I think like the meta stuff is usually making fun of something, but then just doing that thing, and it's still being effective, and it's different. I think I talked about it last time about how it's like not cynical meta, where it's like the Sharknado's dumb as fuck, bro. Look at this dumb shark, and we're making fun of it right now. It's like Sharknado's pretty epic. My name's Fujimoto, and I like that stuff, and here it is in my manga, just like X-Men in that one scene.
What was that? There was like some. I feel like. Yeah, that was like a lot of like criticism of like say Marvel humor like undermines it and it's not genuine.
Yeah.
Well, like this is undermines it, but then it's genuine about his enjoyment for it.
The point is almost to undermine it and then still do the thing.
Yeah.
And it still works, and you're like, how did that work? This is crazy. I will say,
Oh, God. Sorry.
Oh, I'll just say very briefly. We were talking about how quickly we read it. I read all of Fire Punch in 2 days when I first read it, So, just bragging and stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mia.
I dropped
the thing you were saying
about stuff.
Whoa. The thing you were saying about playing, like subverting it, whatever, then doing it anyways. That's exactly how I felt with the ice switch. Because when we were talking last time, all of us were convinced, like, okay, the subversion is going to be that there is no ice switch, and then when that panel, I feel like right when we were getting to this point, we just had Togata saying ice switch isn't real. I'm thinking, okay, the subversion's been paid off, and then Fujimoto just does it anyway, and it's cool. It was so cool.
Yeah,
that ice switch name drop panel. I don't know why it really works so well. And but on that point though, my initial impression though, I thought Agni just completely made it up. I thought it was all in his head because right before this we had the Judah thing, which I guess we'll talk about. And then Judah saying there that Doma's already gone. And Agni, he needs to have some kind of motivation to keep going. So my thought was that he needs a fuel, exactly. So my thought was that he kind of just pictured what is a character that could be my villain that there's no way I could ever forgive, right? Somebody who's done something completely irredeemable so I can latch onto that motivation forever. That's what I thought was happening.
Because the eye switch was the original bad guy, right? It's like the shonen setup at the beginning is the eye switch, and it's also the like even before Doma showed up and killed everybody, he was still very cold with Luna and hated that it was cold and was like, I'll get that eye switch one day. So it makes sense for it to shift when he thinks Doma is dead. What did EliteAri just say?
Dead parents. Eye switch killed them.
True.
Not really. Those rapers did. Remember that?
Wait, did they?
Well, is that Harry Potter reference?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait,
dead parents.
Yes, Dead Parents was, of course.
I didn't even think about that.
Kill yourself, EliteAri. Me and Mia are allowed to laugh at that. You're not. Now, it's also like, Chainsaw Man, piece of shit, rip this off. It's very much the Gun Devil thing of like, Makima has that big reveal, Gun Devil, we beat it already. And then you're like, oh, we're not going to get to see the cool Gun Devil, and we're supposed to be stupid for wanting to see it. But then the Gun Devil shows up, and he's super cool and epic, and then we get the great panel with all the names and stuff. But then Makima beats it anyway, and then Aki becomes like the Gun Devil guy. That's crazy! And then, they got to kill him, and everybody's sad about Aki, and can't wait for the next chapter, right, EliteAri?
Yep.
My goodness. Somebody said somebody made a noise indicating that they wanted to speak.
So there's been like a couple times where I've been confused by like some random charred body just there. I'm like, I feel like I should know who this is, but I'm reading too fast to know. So I was wondering if any of you guys could enlighten me on any theories you guys
In
may
that
have.
eye switch scene, it's just random bodies because they're over the ruins of Dog.
Yeah,
I see.
one of
So
them
it's just
bodies
supposed to represent Agnes being sad that he killed all those people when he got punched into him by Juggernaut from
Fire
the great
Punch.
X-Men movie. Yes, Fire Punch, Fireman, my goodness. But there's also, and we should point this out because I didn't write this down.
I feel like burnt bodies would burn more, right?
Yeah, they're all like charred and stuff. I don't know how burning works.
Yeah.
There are little things, and Miller was like mad at me because he was like, "Oh, you obviously should have ended when they," because there's like, I don't know if they call it. I think they do call it a prologue. It's at like the end of like chapter 17 or something, and it says like end of prologue. One of them's interlude. Maybe it is interlude instead of prologue, and then there's another one right towards the end, or is that coming up soon? There's like three of them where there's three little things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think. So I was right. Prologue first. So Miller was like, obviously you should do it that way. That would have been stupid, and I'm just defending myself from the crazy Fire Punch fans out there. Anything else about the initial eye switch stuff? Anybody?
I wrote a note. Actually, no, I wrote a quote. I said, I can make it cold, so quotes. I did. Like when you see snow and you want to make a snowball for no reason. I thought this was the coolest motivation ever, but it's fake.
Just so evil.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we didn't explicitly talk about the Star Wars thing. What a great reference. I even like, well, not a great reference. What a great moment. Even I liked it, and I hate Star Wars. What a great... imagine if in Naruto, the big bad guy was motivated by that. Wouldn't that just be funny? And here it is in Fire Punch. EliteAri, you love Star Wars. Why aren't you soying out?
I don't know. It was fine. I guess I never said this, but the meta stuff, the meta jokes and stuff, they're a bit overdone. I think. Like, I'm glad that Togata's dead because, like, I was by the time by the time she died, I was like, okay, I'm glad we can finally be a bit more serious, less of these meta jokes, you know. It was good. Well,
all right.
I'm glad Togata died. That is crazy.
Yeah.
The comments are just going to be on my side now. This is great.
This is. I would agree with Ari, but actually, I'd go earlier. This is why the gender reveal was amazing, because then you're like, oh, we actually get actual Togata character. Yeah, nice. This is this interesting conversation. Finally, rather than some. Oh, here's a reference from a movie, which is like, there's some cool references. Like, say, the X-Men one. That's cool, because it's like... But it's not just name dropping, right? Well, the other one is like, it's like this.
The name drop ones are so funny because they're so stupid. Like
they're just boring. I'm sorry. It's just boring.
You're on layer 1, Bacon. I'm on layer 3 with Fujimoto over here and these funny outward references.
I think you'll find that I'm on layer 5 where I just find them.
No, Minty told me there's only 3 layers, idiot. You didn't watch the video.
Well,
you probably made the thumbnail for it.
Yeah.
So 5 is greater than 3.
We're kind of jumping ahead, but I can't let this go. So you're saying we finally give Togata some character, and then
no, don't say that.
Well, okay. We finally give Togata a bit more depth.
You're letting them set the tone, Mia. Don't let them do it.
A bit more depth, which I actually did agree with.
Killing us.
Unfortunately, I agree with it. I guess I'm on level 2 and they're on level 1 and you're on level 3. So
that's how it always is.
But he's actually underground. That's how he's actually on -2.
0 is actually, it's like golf. 0 is actually number 1.
So we finally get some character development for Togata, and then we just kill Togata. You liked that?
Yeah, that was amazing. I was like, I actually care about Togata, and I'm sad now. I was like, I actually have feelings towards this character. Finally, she's not annoying. Good grief, get her out of here, and I feel something. That's amazing, right? Like
that's twitter.com/DarkyBacon. That's twitter.com/DarkyBacon saying that. Twitter.com/EliteAri2. That's also agreeing with them. But you'll want to give all your likes over there to @itsme on Twitter.
I think killing Togata right after that is like my one grievance with these chapters. I know, I get it. You know, that's the kind of the subversion of it. You think, we're finally getting some character, and then that's why you wouldn't think we just kill Togata. But I felt like, why? I don't know. Why did any of that even happen? If we're not going to talk about it more, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess most people are probably on Mia's side more than anybody's, because I do think when people talk about Fire Punch, they talk about Agni and they talk about Togata. I just think the death scene is so good in like all regards. The cinema stuff, the having her come full circle, the reveal that she might not be trans, and like the subversion in that is like incredible. Not because we love trans erasure here, everybody calm down. But we'll talk about that in a second, I guess. But yeah, it's just it's just the best, it's the best Fujimoto scene, obviously, of all time. Chainsaw Man sucks. The end.
It's like it's good subverting because I just found it shocking. I was like, oh my word. I didn't realize I liked this character. Like now they're gone, and now I'm sad. And now I'm kind of like the same. Like, why are they washed up in the shore? I'm not sure if I can get reinvested again, but we'll see.
But that's EliteAri's favorite part
before.
Yeah,
so
the sisters, we love them. But yeah, so we're going to talk more about Togata later, I guess. But for now, I have the great subheading, Best Gags. My goodness gracious me. And I wrote a bunch of them down, and I have screenshot images. I want to say, audience, EliteAri decided. He refused, frankly, to put them in the video. Can you believe that? Now, why would EliteAri work on a video and then let me upload it to my channel? Who knows, everybody? Who knows?
True.
Anyway, well, you were stupid then too. God, we love it. Now, Best Gags, first one here is just a written down thing. There are lots of ways to use a vibrator, and then the greatest line in the history of Fujimotoism, where she said, come, and then firewank. EliteAri, I told you about firewank like months ago. Did you remember it?
Nope.
It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Also, somebody said run one out again, and it reminded me that last time EliteAri thought that meant
I got mad again. It happened again. I was like, this is ridiculous. So it must be a mistranslation thing.
My goodness. EliteAri doesn't know how words work and doesn't know how references work. Isn't that crazy? Now, oh my god, I accidentally pressed something. So that was the greatest joke. It's funny because they clearly weren't allowed to spell cum, C-U-M, so it's just spelled C-O-M-E, but they were allowed to include firewank, and there's lots of ways to use a vibrator. Now this, you have to understand the context for why this joke. Oh my god, my headphone knocked out. So Bacon, you're speaking right now and I can't hear you. How embarrassing. You're embarrassing yourself, Bacon. Oh my god, my headphone's back in. The way in which these jokes are delivered is like we're teaching Agni words, and then she'll just like intercept it with you had to be there. The paneling was great. Anyway, everybody knows what I'm talking about here.
I'd say if we're talking about gags, I did really like I love the paneling. Fujimoto is fantastic, but he loves his like the repeating exact frame again and again just to like convey something. Like this wasn't brought up, but I noticed when I reread, I think it was chapter. Was it volume 1 or volume 2? I don't know.
Is it the piss one?
No, it's when they go down the train. And so the same, you see the train move along, and it like shows everybody talking on the train. It's amazing, but the gag
was brought up last time.
Okay, well the gag of Togata like trying to get her light her cigarette, and then like all these guys come in and just give her all the ingredients she needs for a cigarette.
Well, she doesn't have a cigarette at first. My goodness,
exactly.
That's crazy.
It's just like, there's a cigarette, and it's got a lighter. Amazing. Yeah. So it's just
she's so cool. She's the greatest of all time. The next one I have here is I've set up bombs all over the country. The one I just detonated was in a building where nobody's was there, so nobody's been hurt. Probably. Funniest great Man of Steel reference here, EliteAri. Did you like this one?
No. Man of Steel reference. Didn't just get it.
No, it's just in Man of Steel. They go to that one island and everybody's evacuated. It's probably not a direct Man of Steel reference, but movies do this all the time where they're like, oh, we can have the final battle and everybody's already been evacuated. This is great. And that was funny, but she said probably at the end because that made it even funnier. And then earlier in the scene, because this is when she's confronting that one dude whose brother died in the first part and he was going to have dogs rape people. And he's in the hospital with Judah. And then they've got a guard outside and the guard says, come quick. And then he gets shot in the head. And then Togata comes in a frame and she says, somebody's been shot in the head. How terrible. And she's got the camera in his face. Greatest gag of all time. Then what's this next one? Oh, when she's freaking out because Doma looks like a little pissy boy and he can't be a good villain, but it's very small on my screen, so I got to make it bigger so I can read it. What is there anything fun here? He's got no appeal as an arch nemesis. True. Isn't Doma supposed to be a super evil guy who'd stick his tongue? Who? I gotta get closer, guys. Who'd stick his tongue out and laugh? True. That's what evil villains do. The kind that's always raping women, true. And I think that's the extent of the joke. Then Judah's just saying something. Greatest joke of all time. Then we've got Togata isn't happy at the state of Doma, but it isn't her. Oh yeah, and she starts freaking out and starts saying it isn't her fault. It isn't her fault. Like she's just done something terrible. That was a funny thingy because that's what characters do in movies and stuff. She's brought to tears. She starts crying, and I think she starts hugging Judah, and Judah's like, "That's all right." It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in a while. And then Agnes, when he's running through the thing and we're freeing the slaves, he says, "For a while now, I think I've been having some visions." And he sees himself like punching the outside of the cage, but he's a little kid. And then Togata butts in with the, "What? Don't make up some character point. We've got to hurry." And that was pretty funny. We love meta. Batman is the greatest Joker in human history. True. Togata looking out the window and there's a pyramid and her just filming it is great. Yeah, when they're on the scene, and it's just revealed that they're in Egypt. Now I've got a massive point later that I hope Jockey Bacon can enlighten me on in a little bit. Enlightened is the proper word, but we'll talk about that in a second when we get to themes and stuff about pyramids and freeing slaves and oh my god. Togata looking out the window. It can't be a reference. EliteAri says. Togata looking at. Oh, I just read that
What's
one.
a reference?
Oh, and the funniest.
Looking
It's
out the
obviously a
window.
big biblical reference, you fucking idiot.
What
You
is?
don't know anything about the Bible like Jockey Bacon does. They're in Egypt. They start a religion. They free the slaves, and it's all fake. And we're making fun of religion. It's Moses or whatever, right, Bacon? That's Moses that does that.
Yeah, Moses does free them, but
This is a reference.
It's like a
does
bastardization.
it work? Does it work?
I don't think it works at all. What's the similarity?
No, I actually thought the fact that it's in Egypt and they're
There's no other reason for her to see a pyramid at the window for no reason besides it's hilarious. But it's definitely like we're freeing the slaves. We've got a thingy, and it's like a fault, and they're doing a whole religion is bad thing. Jockey Bacon doesn't like it.
Well, they didn't make the religion at that point. It was already around. Jews already existed. I guess you could say
they
that,
show
like,
up and they've all had visions, but I don't know. It's not going to
the
fit one to
thing.
one. But...
Well, isn't that the same thing in what the Hebrew
Bacon,
Bible,
you getting challenged on the Bible?
Already existed. That's why they had to be freed.
No, but Agneism didn't exist, right?
Well, isn't the Moses stuff like Christianity and the Jews already existed, but then they changed it? I don't know anything about the Bible, but it's like firewood already existed, and they're the Jews, and that's why they're treated bad and stuff.
So
and
Abraham,
also there's the Nazi stuff later, which is funny.
Abraham was the founder of. That's why you often hear them classified as Abrahamic religions. Like, so you have Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, right? Because they all kind of stem from Abraham, right? Moses is like way later. But they are in Egypt and they are enslaved. For their manpower, like for their their firewoodist, I guess. And then Moses coming along and he brings in plagues and he has a snake duel where he turns the stuff into a snake. I think if it was explicit, it could be more explicit. One thing you could say though is that Moses does get the 10 Commandments and then does have a lot of the Jewish laws then created around it. So you could say that while Abraham was the father of the religion, Moses was the one who kind of started the more formal aspects of it. Maybe.
So I think EliteAri just got defeated.
No, this is one thing I'm absolutely not backing down on. Is this like a common thing in the fandom about the religious reference or something to the Bible?
No, I never thought about this once until I was reading it.
Because there's a zero chance this is. There's no way other people think this.
Everything is a reference to the Bible.
You can prove this. You can prove this to me. If there is like a Reddit thread out there where people agree on this, then I'll concede. But I don't think you'll be able to find it.
No, you just came up with this.
All right.
Yeah, if there's
we gotta go to Reddit, guys. We gotta go to Reddit to find out.
See, I would believe.
Whether or not it's true.
Well, what you're trying to do is read the intent of Fujimoto, right? And I have no reason to believe you, and I have no idea what Fujimoto was thinking. So I would say that if other people agree with you, like you can find threads of people talking about it, then I would say that yes, I can concede that most people think this is a reference.
I hate that EliteAri's recording, and that people can hear him right now when I'm making a genius point and he's being an idiot. So now I'm gonna just say my point again.
You could easily prove me wrong. Find anyone else talking about this.
It doesn't matter what Fujimoto thinks. It just matters what I think Fujimoto thinks. You fucking moron.
It kind of matters what he's trying to get across, right? When he's trying to make a reference to something, he wants people to pick up on it, right? Or no, it's just made for Kai Entertainment to pick up, right?
The reference is in the eye of the
True, I forgot. Yeah, it's all for Kai Entertainment. It all revolves around him. True.
Yes. Okay. You agree with me, you moron. You're a subjective moron too.
Yep. Amen.
I'm gonna kill EliteAri one of these days. He's gonna be dead.
Yep.
I'm gonna fire punch him. Anyway, EliteAri's wrong. He's betraying his principles just because he doesn't want to admit that I'm a genius.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I was half moved into the greatest gag of all time. Don't worry, there's only 2 more. Where the great dude over here, he's like, he doesn't speak or something, but maybe he can speak. Togata, what do you call it? Theorizes about that. When there's just this one panel where she says, can you make a cooler one? Because she's making the axes to cut off Agni's half face so we can all eat him. And then he flips her off. And that was really funny. And then she says, aren't you cold because he's all naked? And before this, we also have the scantily clad woman who apparently has a fast metabolism, therefore she can't feel the cold. So that was genius. So you're like, maybe this is what this guy's doing, but instead he starts grabbing himself because he's really cold, because he's just a fucking idiot. And then Togata says, what an idiot. Greatest gag in the history of humanity. I'm not He's got his tidy whities on. This is obviously another South Park reference, but EliteAri doesn't want to hear that. Remember when she kicked the baby in the last one and she said it out loud? Oh, wait, that one was an explicit reference. You haven't seen the Bible either, you idiot.
You know what? I did study the Bible, in my religious schooling.
I went to Catholic school.
12 years.
I forgot that Moses was Agni. This is crazy. 12 years. You didn't ever have to split.
Sorry, 13 years. My apologies.
Oh my goodness. You don't have year 13. You're not in New Zealand.
No, we are kindergarten.
And you don't call it preschool? I had preschool. And my state-funded school, because I'm a man of the people, not a rich piece of shit like a Ari living in Sydney.
Yep.
Tell him, Bacon. Sydney sucks. Sydney sucks. Give me one of those.
I've never been there. I won't be able to say that.
My goodness.
One day you'll
And then my last favoriteest gag of all time says, a tree? And Judah and the Ice Witch are just going back and forth about a tree.
Oh my god,
it was the greatest thing of all time. And she's like,
that's
trees
like the
are really
burning
dumb.
bush, right?
Like,
from the Moses story. Oh my god, that's crazy. It's all tying together.
Oh, crazy.
Oh my god. Okay.
Shut up, Bacon. You're the one that just proved me right, so I don't know why you're agreeing with EliteAri.
No, Ari's making all the choice sense.
That's all of my gags. So if anybody else has any gags they've just recalled in my recalling, they can bring them up now or bring them up later. Frankly, I'm not too fast.
I wrote down one quote. I think it was Neto talking to Togata, where she says, "It's like we've made it up and we're mocking them." And Togata says, "Exactly. It's becoming more and more like a religion." And I thought that was very.
Oh, another great, Bacon, religion bad, The what was I gonna say? Never mind, Mira, I forgot. You're a genius. Hilarious. Oh, I remember. The great gag about education where repeatedly everything's like, oh, it's because people are uneducated, they're stupid. And then it's like, oh, and there's like the Domus version where it wasn't a misunderstanding the whole time, and Jockey Bacon now likes the first chapter because, it wasn't a misunderstanding. And it's like education was really the reason why that was bad, because soon after that they'll do the thingy, and it's just funny because they always bring education up like they're a fucking moron on Reddit or something. It's funny. But that's all the gags we have this evening. Unless, Bacon, you're going to tell us your favorite gag right now.
No, that was great.
I guess the rest of it is like themes and miscellaneous notes. And we were kind of doing plot by plot stuff. So after they escape from the people, there's that one fire dude that we hate. He's really bad, but then we just killed him really easy. That was epic. But he was talking a lot of shit. He was saying, you're firewood and you're worse than me, and that wasn't very nice. And then he got knifed by the Logan guy. The Wolverine reference guy, where he made the thingy out of the thingy and went through his head. That was crazy. Then what happened? We had the Ice Witch stuff. And then we had... What else happened, Mia? Tell me.
He chops off his head for everybody to eat, and they get eyeballs in the soup, and they start making stuff out of it.
And if you eat the eyeballs, your eyes get better.
Yeah, exactly.
That was good. Yeah.
You sun worshippers are disgusting.
Judah has white hair.
Meet at night.
Judah does have white hair.
I couldn't believe it. I just thought it was blonde this whole time.
Excellent observation.
Well,
really?
Blonde, white, same thing.
Well, if you guys bought the volumes, it's volume cover.
Oh, you saw her on the greatmangasi.com, you'd see that, yes, the volumes have her with white hair. Crazy. Me and Bacon know, you guys don't.
Yeah. And then you have
paying for Shonen Jump.
Then you have no, Batman come to
He's epic.
Fireman to say, hey mate, I need to tell you about your old movie director there.
True, I guess, because I guess we do trans stuff, Doma, and then End of Ava stuff, and then sister stuff. That's the rest of the recap. Now we're going to talk about themes thematically, everybody. Do we want to? I feel like before we were like, "I'll save this Ice Witch stuff for later." So what were we saving for later? Do everybody speak about whatever they have in their heart about the Ice Witch and everything about her in all of these chapters? Speak now or forever hold your somethings.
Okay, hold on. So,
oh my god,
I think in a way, my take was half right about how I thought Agni was making up the Ice Witch, like subconsciously to have a motivation, but it was more so that this character, what Solia was the name?
Yep.
Has just kind of come here and made up the Ice Witch as a motivation for him. So it was kind of half right. It was to keep him burning, to give him that fuel. But yeah, I thought the whole thing about the whole evolved humans. So Luna is not Judah pretty definitively at this point. Agni even pointed that out with how Judah was talking. But this new character and Judah and Luna all look the same because presumably including Luna, they're all this evolved human race, which is absurd.
Mm-hmm. They got blue eyes and blonde hair or white hair.
Cool.
Oh my goodness!
So it is a Nazi reference. So
I think so, but EliteAri doesn't think so because it's white hair instead of blonde.
No, I can see that. That could be a Nazi reference, maybe.
I'm gonna fire punch him.
I wrote a note here that Sulia was truly playing God while Agni is just trying to act the part. I thought that was an interesting comparison between the two.
Yeah, there's also she says specifically she's like 1,000 years old and she's like, oh, we're the only ones from this race. Yes, for whatever. The and Togata's also this like the other oldest character because Judah says she's like only 100 or something. I think in the first part, or like 170 or something. And because she even says like, oh, I made Behemdorg or whatever. And there's like this I don't know, opposites parallels thing between the Ice Witch and Togata where they're both like trying to basically orchestrate things here. And like when the Ice Witch shows up, like Jude is being burned to death and she cuts her head off to stop her from dying, and then she regenerates and everything, and she says like, oh, this is it can't end here or something, or like she's interfering in the story and stuff like that. And also they both have dueling Star Wars references where Togata at the end of her at the end of the trans discussion chapter, she's like, okay, let's pass the time, I'll tell you about an old movie, and she does the Star Wars intro. So they're clearly like parallels in a sense.
Yeah, they're paralleled through Agni's
they're also very old
as well. Like at times, like you have when Agni, there's this like one panel, I don't remember what chapter, but you've got like a side profile of both Agni and Togata, and it's like Agni's dark side, and it looks like the hair that's covering Togata's eye, and then the other side,
yeah, they do look, and even their mouths are similar,
and the other side's like white, and it's got like the white hair, like the sister. But I don't know, some parallels going on.
True, and in a lot of the images, sometimes his flames are white around his face.
Yeah.
But other times they're just all orange. So I don't fucking know. But true, Ice Witch and stuff. Were you done, Mir? Or?
I guess my one more thing. I thought right before the Star Wars thing, I thought, wow, Fire Punch has actually gotten pretty serious now. It actually feels like it wants me to take it seriously. And then I feel like that was so intentional just to make the Star Wars thing feel as ridiculous as it should. Because I thought that was really, really funny. And
even if it takes 10,000 years, we're going to redo it until we get the great
recreate the entire world to the exact moment where a new Star Wars would be made is very, very funny.
It ended on a cliffhanger. What are you going to do? Fuck, there was a Togata thing in there, but I forgot it, you know. You're just forgetting things. But yes, the Ice Witch is cool. Oh, there is a cool thing, like, towards the end. Like, we have the kill her, kill him, kill me thing towards... We're skipping past the Doma stuff, but we'll get back to it. And it's like a monologue, especially after Agni has killed all the kids and Doma. It's sort of playing with the, oh, maybe Agni is the villain and we're doing this thing. And then she's like giving a monologue like he's the villain and this is how it's going to end and he needs to die for his catharsis, which is another like Togata thing she says all the time. But then seemingly she's undermined and we don't see the Ice Witch until, well, For the rest of the chapters, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, eye switch. What a crazy one. Were you yaring because you had a great thought, Bacon, or just yaring in agreement?
No, it was cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, bro. The any more eye switches? Alita, you got nothing to say?
The eye switch is so cool. I have a prediction, but that's for the predictions at the end, I guess.
That's for the predictions part. Make sure to remind me we're doing predictions, even though I explicitly banned them.
Mhm.
Anyway, so transness or Doma? Mia, you choose.
Oh, I have a lot to say on the transness stuff, and surprisingly, not that much to say on the Doma stuff.
Don't worry, I got you covered.
Let's do Doma first. Let's do Doma first.
Oh,
Because he's a domie. That means dumb.
oh.
Stop doing my laugh,
get it.
Leary. You make
Yeah,
me upset.
so I just want to say a reference that none of you got, but I think this was a Vinland Saga reference because it's mentioned
Epic.
revenge.
True.
But yeah, no, it was. Well, I mean, we had the stuff where it's like, oh, do you want to go fishing? And then he kind of makes the whole point about like the issue is
The
education
great
because
Togata gag, where she's like,
but,
I want to fish, but then she's like, no, this is boring immediately afterwards.
That was very
And she
funny.
promises not to say anything, and then she starts beating him up. Oh, she's genius.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bacon.
Well, yeah, you had this whole thing where he's basically saying it's like you can give a man a fish or teach him how to fish. And his issue was basically, well, I thought this was one of the points. It's like you kind of, if you teach them only to eat humans, then eventually they'll, then eventually that's all
Become
they'll ever know,
cannibals.
right? They become cannibals. Yeah,
For reals.
exactly. And then he he talks about how he was uneducated when he killed
The village
Luna
and
and all
everybody.
this stuff, and then he reveals that he was the one that burnt. I mean, it's kind of obvious when it's like.
I completely forgotten about this, by the way. So it's
But yeah,
funny.
it was
This is silly and great.
as soon as he Togata mentioned ages ago, it's like, oh, my movie collection was burnt. I'm just like, well, okay, probably Doma did it, right? Or this whole thing about fire. At the time, I wasn't like, is that even true? Who knows? Like it could just be like a offhanded comment, and then it turns out, oh yeah, it was, and then all of Bergman was based off a crappy movie or something like that, and then it just creates an interesting dynamic where it's like the person, initially you're like, okay, we know nothing's going down because Agni can't be on the lake, right? So we got safe distance here between them, and then it turns out actually the one you have to watch out about is Togata, who's beating him up. And Agni's like, I don't want to beat him up. And then you have the whole thing where, they manage to get away from each other. And then Agni, when they're walking back, has basically
Still
a
panel freaked
hallucination.
out.
Yeah, has a hallucination that something that his sister's telling him that he should go kill him. And then he burns the rest of his face. And then the end of the next chapter, you say, oh, he's fine. He's come back to it. And then you realize that it's just all told in reverse, basically.
Yeah.
And which that's one time when I had to reread it. I was like, hang on, what's going on here? I'm really confused. Does he have initially I thought he had an extra, he somehow spawned an extra version of him, which is his evil alter ego, because I couldn't read the panels properly, and he had to go stop him. But then I just figured out that the chronology of this. I was like, okay.
So you think Agni should stop Fire Punch?
Exactly, Agni has to stop Fire Punch.
Now that would be crazy.
Crazy.
The I should stop making jokes when I have real points to make, and because I can only think about one thing at once. The panel, just the paneling, it's so good. He's just waiting there, and then he's It's also it's kind of the most obvious 3-layer thing where it's well, we first introduce him and we see Fire Punch and it's kind of generic at the beginning, so you're like, oh, maybe he will just get revenge and this will be great. But then is it going to be generic, baseless, shitty Vinland Saga revenge is bad message? We hate that. And then it's and then it seems doing that, and you seem to be satisfied with that because you almost don't care about the is it going to be revenge or not? That's a question from so long ago that you don't really care about, and there's so much else going on. And then for him to go back and do it, and to kill all the kids, and maybe the coolest part is killing most of the kids incidentally, where he just walks in, sets things on fire, and then walks out. It's also probably supposed to be some thematic, wherever he goes, he causes destruction because he's on fire, and even if he didn't mean to, he's going to fuck stuff up, when he gets hit into buildings. And a lot of the people he kills, he doesn't actually intend to kill, and that's a whole other thing and how that affects guilt and stuff like that, and how that affects whether or not we like him or not, which is like a big thing Togata talks about before and after this and she's even shocked a little bit after this, and then we don't really get much more for her because she's gonna die soon. And it's like, what did she think, etc., etc. Just the greatest, greatest Fujimoto thingy of all time. Pretty good, Mm-hmm. That's right.
This is also where we find out that the king isn't real, right? And everything about the king was just movies.
I think that's at the very beginning. But we do get the specific movie reveal later, because they're
because
they always call it like
movie,
the king god, and it's like, oh well, that doesn't make much sense. But Judah reveals that very early on with Togata, where she asks Togata, how much do you know about this world? And she's like, well, I know your king's fake, Lamau, and the ice witch.
Oh, right. Yeah, true. But this is where we find out that they just showed the movies and said that this is the king. I was thinking, is Fujimoto making some kind of commentary on making the media you watch your entire personality?
I mean, I think so, almost certainly, and it very much seems like when he's crazy with the references, that's definitely what he's trying to conjure up. It's also obviously because it's called like Flame Bemdorg or whatever, so it's obviously like, oh, this is like a meta Fire Punch thing, and like what's Fire Punch gonna spawn out, and it's sort of a cyclical thing. It's pretty cool, The Blu-ray box looked really good, well drawn, and if you zoom in, you can read it and stuff like that. And it's like by something, it's like Warner Brothers, but it's WNNA. Was that a reference? I don't know. It's not as explicit, He's silent. I got him.
Wait, me? Ahead, what was it? I didn't understand. What was the reference? Go ahead.
I just destroyed you. We're moving on. Go ahead, me.
Yep.
No, I thought this scene was pretty good. I didn't have a lot to say about it, but I was just really, really, really shocked when
we love being shocked.
Agni actually did it. My notes are we Vinland Saga-ing? And then, oh shit, he did it in all caps. So I think I captured my feelings there pretty well. I really didn't think, like, obviously when we're doing the thing, like the multiple panels of him walking and kind of stopping, I'm like,
it's
okay.
like
Something's about to happen. He's going to do it. But then for some reason, just the way we jump right to Doma being completely engulfed. Like, I didn't even think Doma could be engulfed by his own flames. And it just completely shocked me.
Yeah, it's pretty epic, It's funny because I think both of you guys made Vinland jokes. But Vinland really is like a seminal piece in like my artistic mentality, where it's like every time revenge is even inklinged in a narrative, the first thing and the only thing you're going to think about is Vinland Saga. And it almost makes anything that's going to discuss revenge way more generic in retrospect, because you're like, well, I've already seen this done well. And I had a funny joke that I wrote down where it's like, revenge to Vinland is like rape and Berserk, where every time you see it thereafter, you're like, oh my god, it's just the Berserk thing. Like whenever I see, like in anything that's even vaguely like rated M, whenever I see a woman and she's like surrounded by guys, or she like walks down the street and a bunch of guys walk past her, there's just a Berserk trauma response in my head that goes, this is going to be a nearly rape scene where somebody comes and saves her, because it just happens so much in Berserk. And it's like that with Vinland, because definitely, because I read Vinland Saga like 20 years ago, and I only read Fire Punch like 15 years ago. So when I was watching this, immediately like revenge, Vinland Saga, Lamau. So anyway, that's me giving Vinland its flowers and shitting on Berserk again, as I love to do. I hate Berserk. Imagine if your thing was rape, embarrassing. But Doma, anybody else got anything to say about this great scene? Or anything surrounding it.
Just to join in the choir here, I have one note. It said chapter 45 was amazing, which is the one where he's like walking back and flashing back to Luda and all that.
True. We love EliteAri. We never disagree with them. Bacon, you want to move on to trans issues?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's time.
Okay. Now, Mia's got a lot to say for this, so let me start it then. Because I love setting the tone for discussions. It's very important. It frames everybody else. I guess there's the fight first. Oh my god, what do we talk about first?
I guess, what do we start with? The Togata being outed, basically?
Yes, the Batman shows up and he says, don't trust this dirty woman. She's actually a man. Isn't that crazy? Because he says he can look into into people's hearts and see them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. That's where it starts, and then Togata, like, we cut away from it, and then this is actually something I wanted to highlight earlier, but Neneto and Togata's relationship is very interesting, because Togata, like, seems to look at her constantly with disdain whenever she's not joking, but that also seems to be how Togata sort of interacts with most people that aren't Agni, and then even sometimes with Agni, and so you're trying to sort of get a read on Togata, because when it shows Togata leaving after she gets outed, after we cut away, and she, like, glares back at, like, her, Minato, that's her name, right? And it's like a very hateful glance. Now, obviously, she's very upset in this moment, but it feels very, like, emblematic of their relationship. But Minato is also, like, very loyal to her, and even, like, there's, like, a scene at the beginning of one of these chapters where she, like, puts one of her prized cigarettes, which is a funny gag, in the ground, and she's, like, lighting it, and she's like, I'm putting this out for God, and then the son's like, you mean Lord Agni? And she's like, no, idiot. And then she's like, I hope Togata comes back or something. So it's like her being sweet, and it also goes back to how they're sort of introduced to each other, where it's like Togata's encouraging the guys to rape her, but then she eventually saves her, but it's like, is this just a gag? Is Togata actually anti-rape, ? Or does she just incidentally do it?
Togata's pro-movie.
Yes, yes, of course. Except when she's not. When she's pro-Agni or pro-being sad. Which is what we're about to get into. But yes, Batman shows up, the great Batman. I knew he was a prick. The white elite establishment rich man outing a trans person and then flaunting him out of society. This is a reference not to Batman, but just to our world, EliteAri. But you don't know nothing about that. Oh, got him. Togata, I guess... Before we talk about the transness, especially Mia, let's talk about the argument and her reaction to it. And then we'll talk about is she trans, ? And we'll talk about Cordelia, I'm sure. Go ahead.
It really shocked me to actually see Togata sweat. I think that that's when it clicked, and I was like, oh shit, like, this is actually real. Fujimoto's actually doing this, seeing that, like, we've never seen Togata nervous or break, like, the front.
She's always in
any
character
way.
In a sense.
Yes, exactly. So that was kind of like, oh my god, Fire Punch has gone woke. Let's go. And then the fact that Togata, like, is seriously impacted and actually, like, leaves. I didn't expect any character drama from Togata. So I liked this initial start to the I guess transness stuff.
Yeah. I guess I'll do my little bloviating here. This is, like, one of the... Jockey Bacon, cover your ears. EliteAri, perk your ears up. This is one of the most, like, descriptively real things I've ever seen in my life. How Togata, like, breaks down here is, like, exactly how I break down in, like, every situation where I've ever been in a bad place. You know me, I'm a big character over here. I'm doing funny jokes. You've never seen me be serious. I just do jokes all the time, and even when I'm serious, I'm sarcastic and I'm joking about it. But when you're not, it's a little crazy, and you do just, like, no, this is a great Mad Men reference. You just want to run away. And the way she freaks out, and
actually,
what reference is it?
You want to run away? Vinland Saga reference.
Oh yes, of course, we love Vinland Saga. The EliteAri, I was joking about the Mad Men reference. There's no Mad Men references here. Okay, calm down. There's I guess I should probably just read this out before I just read it out or before I summarize it and then read it again. Togata is very relatable in this sense to me. When the secret's found out, you just have to leave. True. They don't understand. Little picking a part of the point. Oh yeah, and then when you're actually, like, confronted and talking to somebody about it, you don't actually talk about it. You just, like, contradict the little things in which they say to avoid actually talking about it. Genius. Compliments come out and win you over. True. It's a total flip of how you usually are. True. It can never be the same again, right? True. The page of sitting. Oh, the greatest page in the history of manga is after they've, like, yelled at each other, and Agni's like, "Stay here, I love you, you're my big sister." And then, like, they just sort of come to a pause in the arguing and screaming, and they're both just, like, sitting there. It's like, oh my god, this is the most descriptively real thing I've ever seen in my life. Agni loves her so much. Oh, I'm crying. The sarcasm in the character melts away, but then it comes back. Summarizing a movie, which is the Star Wars reference we've talked about earlier. It's a very hopeful scene. And I didn't even plan this. Unlike Mad Men and The Sopranos, oh my goodness, that kind of has the opposite conceit. And I think it is closer to descriptive reality. My goodness. But anyway, this is the greatest. Togata, she's just like me for real, except I'm not trans. I don't think. Anything could happen. But Mia, take it away. Did I say anything there? I don't even know.
Well, let's see. I guess right before this whole conversation, but like after like the serious reaction from Togata, after that is when Fujimoto does the Star Wars reveal. So I'm in the headspace of, oh wow, our characters are actually in a really serious state of mind right now. There's actual emotional conflict. So that's why I was thinking, oh my god, Fire Punch is getting serious, and then the Star Wars thing happened, which amplified that. But so yeah, for the actual conversation.
Hold on, Mia, just really quick. This is why you have to realize that tone is fake, and fucking with the tone is the greatest thing of all time, and you should always follow something incredibly serious up with because that's what real life is. Crazy. But I don't know. I think that is part of I think the Fujimoto-ness and a lot of his stuff that I think is really good. And a few other things I like do that. So pretty good. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so with the actual transness stuff, I'm very used to hearing this character's trans and then seeing a bunch of people argue that no, it's not true when it comes to anime and manga, and then I actually watch and read it myself, and I'm like, they both have good points. Because we mentioned it last time where when I knew about the transness stuff for Togata, I didn't know any context of it, but I compared to Yamato in One Piece because that is a very hot debate where Yamato is pretty much for those of you who have not read One Piece.
That's the dragon person. That's the best guy ever song. That did the DK.
Son of Kaido, self-proclaimed son of Kaido. But
I see.
Kaido also calls Yamato son, but Yamato specifically chooses to be male because he idolizes.
He's another guy.
Yes, he idolizes a guy from the past, the guy named Odin. So Yamato wants to be just like Odin, including by saying he's a guy, using they have like a bath scene, and Yamato goes with the guys instead of the girls. It's all very explicit. Yamato saying, "Yeah, I'm a man. Treat me as a man," but because of just the difference in context culturally between Japan and I guess just the West in general, there are arguments that Yamato isn't really trans, and most of them are fueled by people who just like, oh no, my One Piece isn't woke, shut up. And a lot of that is bad faith, but it is also just the author not going all the way with it. And because it's just not fully committing to the idea and kind of using it a bit as a gag, because for Yamato at least, the gag is that Yamato is very tomboyish. And a lot of gags you would see in anime with a tomboy character who is not trans gets applied to Yamato the same way. So that's the kind of mindset I had going into the Togata stuff and thinking probably be similar. This is absolutely not similar in any way. This is the most explicit transness I think I've ever seen. And you mentioned earlier about Togata potentially not being trans, and I want to hear that after I go on this spiel, because I didn't get that impression at all. I thought this was the most blatant, no funny cultural shenanigans. This is transness. So I guess before I go on to the whole conversation itself, what is everyone's thoughts on that? I guess transness in anime and manga and how this is different.
Well, I'll talk about it at the end. EliteAri, I bet you have nothing to say about this.
I guess I don't have much experience with it. I don't think I've ever read any. Like, I haven't read One Piece.
Cordelia,
I think is a bit different because it's not a personal choice. I don't quite know. But
I do agree with Miller. This feels like the most, at least by my understanding of like how
Miller.
Sorry, did I understand Miller? Did I say Mia?
No, you said Mia.
Mia. Sorry for my accent. It's very, very important. And what was I saying? Yeah, well, like, so, like, this feels a lot more explicit because the guy, Batman, is very genuine, and I don't think he would lie. Therefore, I think it's pretty much confirmed that, like, that's at least how Togata feels on the inside. And from my understanding of talking to various trans friends and stuff like that, it is like there was a tragedy. Like, actually, the line that hit me quite hard was the fact, like, and I can't do any like reassignment surgery because like I would just regenerate back. So like they're literally trapped in this body, and it's different to say like even like Cordelia, because Cordelia is more of like a, first of all, it's because it's Vinland Saga, it kind of serves a larger thematic point than rather trying to be just trans representation, if that makes sense. And also, like, Cordelia's like coached into it for her own safety by her mother. It's not something that like Cordelia feels inside, if that makes sense. Like this boyness feels far more intrinsic. Like it's a boy brain inside a girl's body, for example. Like it feels way more explicit rather than like Vinland Saga having Cordelia's transness be like, well, look, like just because you're like literally genetically the most, you're Thorkel's child, therefore you should be like, you know, go and be the most prone to war. It's a cultural thing, this war. It's not a biological thing, which is like a like the whole point of it is entirely different.
I think with Cordelia, Vinland Saga is trying to make a point where you were almost hand waving the "how did we get here" part, because what matters is this is who Cordelia is right now, and the answer is not to train that. Train that. I guess not personality, but I guess personality. Basically, train Cordelia to be someone that she isn't. Is not the answer. The answer is to allow Cordelia to live how she wants. But yeah, you, in the grander scheme of things, you kind of can't escape how do we get here, because you know, obviously the big grift and the big complaint for the political perspective on transness in the modern age from the, you know, right-wing perspective is that grooming kids is the biggest problem. You have kids who are being exposed to it who wouldn't have been trans, but now they think they are because they've been exposed to it. And Cordelia kind of falls into that, I think, very unintentionally from Yukimura. And I don't think he's the kind of person who would have a lot of personal experience with transness that could be put into this character. So I think he kind of is trying his best. But with Togata, it genuinely, and I mean, Fujimoto, he fucks with gender all the time. You know, he loves to mess with it. So it feels like coming from a very personal place in comparison, like an actual kind of knowledge of it.
So actually, this goes a bit further. Could like, so from my understanding, Fujimoto is a man, but I was also thinking, like, could Fujimoto not be be non-binary or be trans themselves?
There is like a quote from him that's like that has some, I can't remember what it is, but it was like a big thing. I think when he first said it was like he had like a quote where it was like, oh, I always wanted to be like a woman sometimes, and then he was like, oh, but then I snapped out of it or something. There was something like that. I don't know if it was again, if you're reading the volumes, at the end of every volume he has like a cute little line before the volume ends where he's like, I sit in a cardboard box by the riverbank and write manga. I hate this or something. Or like the first one for Chainsaw Man Volume 1 is I love chainsaws. Maybe it was one of those. I don't think it was like explicitly trans related, but it was something like people were talking about it.
Yeah,
so
I've heard it before.
There is like
the reason why I brought this up is because, like, look back, I've not done a lot of thinking about it, but after watching it,
it's two girls and they both represent him. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I was just wondering if that's like maybe.
But there is like even I do that a lot where I'm like, the girl character is always my favorite, and even when I play like Pokemon games, I usually pick the girl and stuff like that. So I don't think that's, well, maybe I just got to be awakened, but I don't think that's explicitly a trans thing all the time. But I think stuff like that leans you into maybe being more sympathetic to transness overall. Because you're not so like, I don't know, I guess it's an anti-toxically masculine thing. Even though I love fighting and Askeladd's the best character, so I love toxic masculinity here. But Bacon, you were saying something, right?
No, that makes sense.
Oh, is it my turn? Oh my goodness. I never get to speak in these things. It's crazy. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Mia, were you done?
I have more to say, but I'd like to hear your thoughts first.
Okay. I think it's another, like, almost did good, but because the only thing is there is the line at the end where she says, I'm saying she, but me using pronouns is just me being stupid and saying whatever I think comes into my mind first. It's not like an intentional thing or anything like that. It's like the Rhaenyra or the Emma Darcy thing. She has the line. I did again in the theater scene, where they say, my goodness, I've moved on to neutral. It was when I started watching movies that I first wanted to be a boy, because the boy always saves the characters in movies. And at that point I was like, is this just like a big joke? Sounds wrong, but like the joke isn't at trans expense. The joke is at like sexism expense, where it's like, is Fujimoto just saying that like sexism is so bad in the movie industry that like obviously all cool girls would want to be boys type thing? That's the only thing. But because it's in the ending scene, it like colors it a lot. And there's also, but I almost talked myself out of it while you were talking, because I feel like this is the case with a lot of trans people. They sort of have like an awakening moment or whatever, where they like realize it, and it's usually when they're younger, and it's like when they're watching something. I remember Conch was talking about it. I can't remember her exact example. But there was something like that. So I was like, oh, maybe that's just that. But there's also a bigger conversation here, and because we do have Cordelia and Yamato as sort of the examples, where Cordelia, again, I'm completely on board, where I think like Yukimura probably understands that trans people exist and that they're like, people are mean to them, and so in his like wannabe paradise that he was making, he wanted to be like, and a trans character could be there and be happy. I think that was what did I say Yukimura the first time? What Yukimura was going for, and he was just like, oh, there, and then he sort of stumbled into like transphobic tropes, or what we would consider in the West to be transphobic tropes to get there, with like her kind of literally being groomed into being it. And does Cordelia even want to be trans, or is she just being like literally societalized, what a great word I just made up, into it by her mom and stuff like that? So it's like, oh, we can definitely see the good intention, look at, but it like trips over. And then the Yamato thing is sort of like, now, again, I haven't actually read any of this, and I just know it from a bunch of a million secondhand sources. But the joke is like, he always says, I want to be Kozuki Odin, and everything in One Piece is kind of a joke. So it's like, what's happening there? And it's like, well, is this trying to be a thing? But then Oda's kind of like, you could see him having like Yukimura tendencies, where he's like, well, obviously the One Piece world would be happy with like in Luffy's world, of course, trans people would be allowed to come along, etc., etc. So is he trying to do that and do both?
Yeah. I mean, One Piece does have other characters that are trans.
Yeah, because there's also like, there's literally like free sex changes in One Piece from Ivankov or whatever, right?
Yep. The hormone fruit.
Yes, and Crocodile might be a trans man, but maybe involuntarily.
Could be Peak. Could be Peak. Yep.
Yeah. But even then, it's like, oh, were they playing a prank on Crocodile, and that's why they're trans? And like, that's not very good. And that's a good character that did that to him that we're supposed to like. So then it's sort of like stumbling into what we like to see as transphobic things. So it's like but most of these are like that. Even like the way the Okama are like portrayed in One Piece, like they are good guys in the end, but it's like we're kind of stepping over a bunch of gay stereotypes to get there, etc., etc. So it's like, it's kind of like, I don't want to both sides it, because it's definitely not the case. But one side is like, well, we hate this because we hate the gays and shit like this. And it's like, well, that's dumb. But then it's the other side that's like desperate for anything, well, almost deservedly so, of like, this character's got to be trans. Like, yes. But it's like, you're kind of ignoring a bunch of other things that maybe play into the conversation. But it really is only that last line. And there's also, now this isn't the best like subsidiary evidence. But when Togata is like, oh, big sis is fine, that's clearly kind of her just being like okay with it, maybe, and you can easily get around that. So if we're doing a little scale here, if I'm doing a stream right now and I'm bringing up my great paint sheet, Togata is definitely on the end where it's like, well, we're close. But this also brings into like a million other meta conversations about like, is transness a universal thing, or is it more society based? And obviously Japan's relationship with gender is a lot different than, say, America and the rest of the West, where there's sort of like harsh. Not to say that there aren't gender roles, obviously there are in Japan, but Japan sort of has a much deeper history, especially in media, in sort of like dealing with gender swapping or even cross-dressing and things like that, and especially like gayness, when you're like, oh, there were like popular yaoi things in like the 80s and what the
Like,
fuck is
what is one of the most recently most famous anime movies that's broken international barriers?
I don't know, Bacon.
It's Your Name, which is literally a gender swap, right? Like,
yeah,
like
yeah,
it has like a massive.
Even,
it kind of is.
But yeah,
because like, they play more into the Your Name plays a lot more into like being able to connect and understand somebody so well by being put into their body rather than
and then it's a love story, right?
It is a love story, exactly. It's not like I've been changed into a woman. It is I am inhabiting this woman's body and now I'm back to me and I feel so connected to her. It's definitely different, but it is playing with gender for sure.
But even like James from Pokemon all the time was like, now it was kind of like, you could read into it as being like a gay stereotype, even though he's got a few girlfriends in the show. You know, we love James from Team Rocket. But even that, like, he exposed to that as a kid, it was like not gender defying, but it was sort of, even then, it's like, there's obviously a difference between transness, cross-dressing, and like being flamboyant, and then there's like the gay and bi aspect in there. And obviously, in the way we think about
being
things
European.
now. European? What's European? Oh, that's true. Yeah, I guess Europeans are more.
Is he gay or is he European?
True. Oh, I see. It's a different joke. I get it, Bacon. I get it.
Yeah, you go.
He's probably Japanese, Bacon. Can you believe that? Though he does have blue hair. Where's that come from? Who knows?
Give him a British accent because they're evil as well, which is not wrong.
I guess you couldn't say. I was almost going to say, you could kind of say he kind of has a British accent in the dub, but not really. Also, they have a big controversy not halfway through Pokemon anymore, but all the voice actors changed. It's a whole thing. We're not going to go into it. The second one sounds a little bit more British is what I was going to say. Anyway, so it sort of depends, because it's almost like a Eurocentric thing for us to judge the trans portrayal in sort of these stories. But then again, now Fujimoto quote that I don't remember and am vaguely alluding to outstanding. These are all three cis men doing this right and stuff. Because even if you look, like, I don't know, what's like a very safe trans representation, like Lev from The Last of Us, but even then there was some controversy with that, with the dead naming stuff. So there's a bunch of things where it's like, oh, this is like them doing good. I guess you could put trans portrayals on a big tier list and we could rank them all. And Togata is probably like A tier.
I'd say so.
So
I mean, even over here, I feel like there's kind of, I don't know, whenever it's done explicitly, and I hate to give credence to anybody who complains about things being woke, but even when it's done over here, it's done in a way that feels like it's not very patronizing. It doesn't feel very authentic to what the experience is actually like. It feels like, you know, you're putting it there to say you have it there, and
it's like the Disney.
That's not very satisfying either.
There's also
I think that's what struck me about this whole Togata thing. It felt like, oh my word, this is very personal and feels
it definitely is
very raw, which, you know, something I think Fujimoto's writing often it is, and I think that's when it's at its best, because it seems incredibly genuine, and it's something where, like, you know, I'll talk to people about it, or I'll, you know, and it just kind of matches up, or I'll watch like a YouTube video, or I'll read something explaining it, and it makes sense to me, but then it puts in like an emotional, almost a real context, and it helps me just like for whatever reason unlock an emotional level of understanding to it, which I think I thought was very interesting here.
Now, I don't think anybody else had the same reaction, but I do think in sort of the relatability aspect, the argument beforehand and how she reacts is so Like I went on my whole rant about how good I think that is, instead of a genuine angle, and the fact that it is such a split is like so perfect, where it's like one thing to the other, and it's like your biggest secret is now out in the open. Like, what the fuck? And for her, well, for him, it is the trans thing. So it's like impossible to ignore, etc. I also wanted to. There was a part where I branched off in this rant when I was doing notes, where I was talking about the subjectivity thing. Obviously, as Mia said earlier, there's like a, especially with the Yamato example, there's a big, like, obviously this is a misreading. It can't be that. It's just a joke. Yeah, kill yourself, type thing. Now, obviously, I just remind everybody that my subjectivity principle beholds me from ever being one of those people, and obviously there's no proper reading, and you can't appeal to any of that. Amen, EliteAri. Say amen.
Amen.
So even if I was saying, which it wasn't what I was saying, that Togata definitely isn't trans, that wouldn't mean that she wasn't trans. That would just mean that she's not trans to me, etc. But I think, I don't know, Nia kind of convinced me, because I did have the moment where I was like, maybe that was just an awakening moment when she was watching the movies. I said she did. Can you believe it?
With the movie theater thing, I totally, because there is such a debate in what is grooming somebody into feeling a certain way, and what is the natural result of you resonating with something. And that line is honestly, it's blurry, because at the end of the day, we are an amalgamation of everything.
Yeah, like plastic to our environments, etc. It is like such a stupid fucking phrase to say, like grooming, because obviously that has a very negative context. But if these people weren't in the conversation, it would probably be much easier to admit that, like, first of all, that doesn't even matter. Like, I don't even care if it's like a natural thing or not. Like, who cares? But that's also like, obviously, like, people's environments are gonna, like, there's feasibly a theoretical person that is trans but never realizes it, just because they never have that, like, awakening moment or whatever, like we're talking about. And it's like, would you say that they are trans or that they aren't trans, even if they themselves never realize it? Is there like an underlying fact of the matter there? Like, to me, it's like, I don't care about this at all. Especially when most trans issues are just like expressatory anyway. But obviously it's like a conservative party would ram it right into the other angle of, like, they'd bring up bathrooms or something where it isn't like expressatory or whatever, or something stupid like that, or it's or prisons or sport or whatever. That was supposed to be my side point. What did I say at the beginning? I forgot.
Well,
go ahead, Mia.
I think with I mean, like, I've heard certain things where, like, and they're doing more research onto this, but there is like certain things that in trans people's brains also appear in whatever, like, so say if you're a trans man, you'll have like a female brain. There is a like stuff towards that. Now, of course, the brain is incredibly complex, but there's certain things that do like link to like there's like hyper masculine traits that will appear in a brain, and that like is like heavily correlated to whether or not you're gay or not, right? And if you have these hyper masculine traits, these are like they're like it high likelihood of you being gay. Like so there's that side of, like, it could be like just like biological, and I don't want to say biological. I don't mean like kind of. I mean, it kind of feels like predetermined, but that's not necessarily. But I guess that's what you would say when you're saying that someone could be trans and never like realizes it.
Yeah, there's like an underlying fact.
Kind of like you're predisposed to it if you have the ability or the opportunity to resonate with it in full. Maybe you'd be able to, not like unlock that part of your brain, but realize it. Without it, it doesn't have to be so explicitly like you are this way because of how your brain is, but you are probably more likely to, I don't know, resonate with it. That's the idea I'm getting at least.
Yeah, but then you could also have like, I mean, you could have, it's kind of like, are you like it's like diagnosing someone with ADHD. Like, like did they had ADHD before and they could go their whole life without knowing it, right? Like I've not.
True.
Like I could be intersex
Because they won't give me my fucking pills, bacon. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. But like I could be intersex, but I don't know it, right? As far as I know, I have XY chromosomes, but I've never tested. I could be intersex, who knows, right? And that happens with a lot of people who are intersex, and like they only like check it out once something odd comes up. But like you can have people who are like intersex and
Like
find
you
out
win
that
a boxing match or something.
yeah, exactly. But they only find out that, out later. So there's that, I mean, that's the whole, like, how at least gender is often used now to mean the cultural aspects, right? But yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah. Mir, I have a question for you.
Yes.
That was so ominous. Have you seen Heavenly Delusion at all?
Only watched the anime.
Okay, because coming out of Heavenly Delusion, I caught up. You can see my thoughts on it on my great channel. Just I'm a fucking genius. I read manga and stuff. Heavenly Delusion, coming out of it, there's like two things I keep thinking about from Heavenly Delusion. One of them, I'm gonna make a video about, so you'll have to stay tuned for that one. It's about my favorite character. But another one is how it handles seemingly gender and sex, and how like all of the kids seem to be like they explicitly say, at least in the beginning, that they're all raised without any concept of gender or sex. And there is sort of like subversions where like the main little girl you think is a little boy for a little while, Tokyo or whatever. It would be interesting to also include Heavenly Delusion and what it probably has to say in our little manga tier list of trans representation. But most of the more interesting stuff happens in spoiler stuff, and EliteAri will get very mad at me. So your no has cucked us out of a great conversation. My goodness.
At the very least, with the anime stuff that I've seen, with the stuff with the kids in the school, it's almost like a very strong gender fluidity kind of thing, where it's almost like there is no concept of it, which is interesting. But I am like so unprepared to psychoanalyze what's her name, the main character. Well, her name, the main character.
Yeah.
Oh, Kiriko, you're talking about.
Kiriko, yes. I am so
but it's so interesting because
it is very interesting. But
he isn't from the school and stuff, so it's like, oh, it's actually like part of me thinks like Heavenly Delusion is just about transness, but that's to be elaborated on in the future, because the Kiriko stuff, it adds like an extra layer to why it's interesting. Because Heavenly Delusion seems to be indicating that it believes, and I think this might be a Japanese thing, where it's like the body is sort of the subconscious. So Kiriko, even in the first season, I don't think I'm spoiling anything here, has moments where he realizes he's becoming his sister, and like the body is like making him the sister. And it seems like the commentary is sort of like the body you inhabit is like half of who you are and the soul isn't. Whereas I think a more Western approach to transness is more like the body and the mind is sort of completely separate. Now, obviously, Heavenly Delusion isn't a great scientific thing where it's going to uncover and prove at the end with a thesis that actually the body does have a big indication of it or something. But it is interesting, and also there's not really been any conclusions.
But an interesting point that is then brought up by Togata is that like the reason why your body would be what causes you to then inhabit that, like the body affects the soul, if it's because of how the world doesn't interact with your soul, it interacts with your body.
Yes, a lot of it is like
through, right?
Yeah,
like so Togata,
people see you and perception.
so because
there's a lot of
So
a lot
because
of fire punches about that,
because of people perceiving you to be.
Oh my god, you're right.
Yeah, so people perceiving you to be a woman, they'll treat you differently, right? And then that just reinforces who you are, right? And that's the whole, that's why people want to be able to.
You have to interact with the world. You're not separate from it. And how you interact with it causes who you are.
And this goes for like every myriad of thing, like not just your gender expression, but like even just like would I be as successful on YouTube if it wasn't for my accent, my voice, how I speak, my lexicon, like, and that's just like one aspect. This is hearing me. That's not even seeing what I look like so much, right? Like so much when you meet someone for the first time, your brain just processes so much like
Yeah.
presumptions about them in like an instant that you then have to like you then readjust over time. You get to know them better, but like there's some things that you may never like fully get over
First
because of just
impressions
how
are
they're like.
important.
No, well, just because of how they're like they may have like a certain facial expression that you just they're quite stoic, and then you never quite understand what that facial expression means to them or whatever. But like because they're like out of the box different, but they're actually just like being neutral, but they may just look grumpy all the time or something like that, right? So it's fascinating how like it's like you can't untie your like cultural presuppositions of people as much as you can, and all you have because it's like an instinctual biological thing. Like you see someone, you make all these assumptions, right? They fill up, you put them in those little boxes, and you have to then work really consciously to like remember that you need to overwrite that data when like evidence is presented, and just be aware of those prejudices, and just like because that's something where you can deal with it because you can't stop having those prejudices to begin with.
Could call them microaggressions, Bacon. We loved that word back in 2015. You're absolutely right, because even me with the pronouns and stuff, sometimes I get those wrong and people get mad at me. Part of the reason why I probably like call Togata she is because I want her to be a girl character because I like girl characters more, which is like just an inherent bias I have. And even if I'm basically convinced now with the mere awakening point, I'll probably still fuck it up just because it is. Because I feel like a lot of their like harshness towards trans people is usually people they know transitioning after they know them. Because really, like, if you meet somebody and they're already trans, like, you might not even like realize they're trans or anything, and it's completely fine. But obviously when you have a perception of somebody, and I'm assuming this is why parents freak the fuck out and stuff like that, is because they're like, they have, first of all, being a kid, they're like putting all their toxic hopes and shit into a kid already, that they'd be mad at them for not going to the right school, and then it's like, well, actually, different gender, this is not what I expected, freak out type thing.
I also
but true
think
bacon is what I'm saying. True.
Yeah, I think it also it's kind of like, I think also the thing with Togata as well is that like unlike lots of other characters I've experienced in media, like she doesn't pass, or he doesn't pass for a guy at this moment in time because
he's not even trying really at all.
Well, it's impossible because like of the regeneration power, right?
Well,
and so I actually thought it was interesting because I thought
like a
for a couple.
I guess,
I thought for I guess true, yeah. But I thought for a couple of things, like later on, actually, how he was drawn was different, and it all made it look more masculine after this reveal, which I thought was an interesting like forced perception change. But then it kind of goes back to how it was. But yeah, I was trying to look into that, but it's tougher because, like, at least as you say, like they are trans, but they don't pass for you as like a trans man because of like, and then your brain just naturally like on reflex, because you haven't trained it.
Well, I think from my first reading, I just remembered the theater thing, and I was just like, all right, well, she's not really trans, was sort of my thing going in.
I see, yeah.
So that's probably more so why. It wasn't until like an hour ago. I think also there's an interesting thing in portrayal, and we kind of talked about this in our Diebuster Gunbuster thing, where I was like, defending fan service is sort of like a way of, like, it really makes the characters cool for whatever reason, like Momo or Noriko or whatever, or even Jung on the beach when she's naked and stuff. And we talked about the difference between like it being sort of what do you call it? Not exploitative, but excessive, though I guess exploitative, and it being like incidental, and it just sort of like, hot girls are cool just because like like most men are envious of them, so it's sort of it recharges it. In the same sense, I think a lot of there's like a subsection of female characters that I think are cool because they act like boys, but they're also cute girls. Togata isn't the most cute. But it kind of like his crass humor at the beginning about wanking and stuff like that is kind of like more interesting, or not more interesting at all, but more funny, I guess, because it seems like it's a woman saying it, and it's like more what do you call it? Not normal or whatever. Like, women don't speak like that. But then even like it is joke. Yeah, kind of, yeah. But that's like a very anime thing to make the girl kind of boyish, and therefore we're all like freaking out, like this is the greatest character of all time. And I think like doing a recontextualization of that also makes Togata much more interesting. Of like, oh, wait a minute, type thing. It's also like there is like a difference where like a lot of other shows or manga will sort of do the thing like Kasuga or even Asuka like this, where, well, Asuka's not really, she's very feminine from the beginning, but Kasuga obviously is like a girl soldier and stuff, and her femininity really isn't brought up unless, you know, she's still being raped. Until they have the dance scene where she's like in like this pretty dress and stuff, and that's sort of when Guts realizes that she's pretty and stuff like that. And that's sort of like because I remember reading that when I was like 15 and being like, Kasuga wouldn't like dress up in a dress. She's like a cool girl. She's like me. She hates dresses and makeup and dumb girl stuff like that. And then like successively as I got older, I more appreciated that like hard feminizing of Kasuga, of like she's kind of is like she can be like a soldier and also a girl. I'll say the dastardly words again. Mad Men does this a lot too, where it's like obviously it's characters in the 60s trying to be like corporate and cool and stuff. But all the women they always have like, oh no, this is like a girl moment. And Asuka has that too, because she does sort of do that, and then she has the episode where she's on a period, and you know she's freaking out and very mad at stuff. But anyway. That sort of turn on its head is Togata and some of those earlier crosser jokes, and I think that's just another layer. You know, the greatest Fujimoto character of all time.
I would also say that it's also probably because what you're reading is stuff geared towards a male audience, and that's what they know.
Definitely, yeah.
The male audience likes, right?
And I definitely think the Mad Men aspect is like there are like a lot of not a lot. There are two prominent female writers on Mad Men that have talked about Peggy, who is one of the main. Bacon knows who Peggy is. My goodness. That's definitely an aspect. The Sopranos is like that too, where there's a female writer that's on from the very beginning. I think she gets fired in the last season, but then there's other girls by then or something. But yeah, I definitely think a lot of the authenticity usually comes from having a woman around. Isn't that crazy?
Unbelievable. But yeah, no, that's why it's interesting.
50 now. Anyway, go ahead.
Like, I think that's what's interesting about like I remember I didn't get that far into it because the pacing wasn't that great, but it was interesting.
It's the greatest show of all time.
I started watching an anime from like the 2000s.
Oh, he's not talking about
that's an isekai, but the main protagonist is a woman, right? And then I found out
it was actually or whatever.
No. Then I found out that it's written as a novel, so like an actual book series. So it's not part of like the light novel subculture or the web novel subculture. It's like a published book that's written by a female author from the 90s or whatever. And it's just interesting to see the change in tropes, right? And like how when different it feels, and despite it being like the isekai genre, like just trying to see, okay, so like I'm not the demographic for this, but it's interesting to see. I mean, it's like going to watch Barbie, right? Like I'm just trying to, even though I do think it has like a male audience in mind, it's still like predominantly a female production. So that's what's interesting about watching it. So.
There is the funny thing I do a lot when I'm watching like a really old movie, and like the female character getting any sort of like mini feminist moment is like, oh my god, look at this movie. It's so, it like gets extra points because it's old, and it's sort of it's just like the context things come in, and like a lot of criticism is probably contextual and to the time and stuff, and especially when you're like watching Casablanca and it's nearly been 100 years or something, and you're like, whoa, this is crazy. Like a lot of this isn't how we would do things today, almost in an interesting good way, but yeah. Togata, EliteAri, I bet you're chiming in. You're written down in multiple nights. You're ready to chime in.
You're ready to go to bed, man.
No, you know what? I just had no like the gender stuff is not very interesting to me. It was okay. It was mildly interesting. Yep.
Cancel him.
Yep.
Get rid of him. Let's kick him. He doesn't even think that was an X-Men reference earlier.
Yep, it's not.
I know we have a lot more to talk about. I don't want to keep us on this point forever. So I want to just quickly go over the notes I actually wrote because I didn't even get into that, and then we can. So okay. I guess the first thing, this wasn't in my notes, but we talked earlier about the cultural difference, like how gender, I guess, transition is viewed in the Western lens, and then in Japan, and how that plays into anime and manga. My take on that has always been that the feelings around transness and the trans experience is pretty universal, but the cultural context and how you I guess contextualize those feelings into how you act and how you want to be perceived, that's what's really different. So I don't think it's fair to say that, for example, and a story about a manga or anime about an otokonoko character who is that's kind of the close, almost like I guess cousin to transness for Japan with anime and manga. I don't think it's very fair to say that that is not a story that is related to transness at all, because a lot of like very similar feelings are being contextualized through that lens. But just because the terms are different and the way it plays into, I guess, societal hierarchy is different, it doesn't mean that they're not similar, they're unrelated. And I think people clutch onto labels way too hard. But okay, going to Togata specifically, I'm gonna go through this quick. So I think the big thing here is, and why I think it's so personal to Fujimoto, it really reads as a form of repression, like self-repression of identity, because well, one, there's the sex change stuff, and I have noticed, like, when it comes to changing your body, some cultures, the idea of getting the operation is integral to transition. Over here, not so much. It's a lot like the split between gender and physical sex. So I was worried for a second that Fujimoto was kind of leaning too much into it, but that's definitely not the full point. But I thought it was brought up specifically related to the regeneration thing, and I thought that was brilliant to I guess
think he thought he was fucking clever with that one. He was like, makes it even more tragic.
Exactly. But so what I really read this as is that more than being, like, I guess, treated as a woman and not a man, Togata hates the moment of somebody learning and questioning it, rather than, hating the feeling of living it, being thought of as a woman. He would much rather people not even have to think about it than be perceived through the lens of trying to be something he thinks he can't be. And
there's she also has the line about how she hates when she wakes up, and like that's like a internal trans feeling, I think. But I definitely think the outward stuff about being perceived is obviously like one of the biggest human fears generally. Like, I feel like everybody has the experience in high school where they just like try to be as invisible as possible because they just don't want to be perceived, because they like hate themselves. And it's like, it's like, the day you get like a haircut, you're like, oh no, everybody say something about my new haircut. I'm gonna kill myself. This is gonna be the worst day ever.
Did you ever experience this?
Ari didn't, and neither did you, but Mia understands.
I feel the opposite,
Mia kindred spirits.
When I get a haircut, I got excited. I'm like, oh, everyone gets to see my new haircut.
Well, EliteAri, you should hate yourself more, you fucking idiot.
All right.
It was more like, man, I'm finally getting my glow up. I looked awful the last 2 weeks, and I should have gotten my haircut. But now I look good. Oh my word, I look so great. It's like I wake up and I look at myself in the mirror. I'm just like, man, I don't look half bad actually. My self-image has improved massively.
Mia, this is the part where you agree with me.
Yeah, I do agree.
Yeah, fuck you guys. It is funny because I have now, Mia. I promise. All right, this is going to be like 2 minutes, but I'm so sorry. This is something I've noticed, because this is an even meta conversation, because it's about these two fucking losers. I always notice this, because this is one of the most impressive things about Jockey Bacon, and why I thought he was interesting at all at the beginning, is that he was, initially I was like, Jockey Bacon, he's such a positive young man, but sometimes he's mean to me, so it's not about the positivity, but it's close, you're nearly there. Jockey Bacon just is actually internally confident. At least it seems to be. Now, maybe right now he's thinking, I got this fucking idiot fool. And it's, but it's always been an interesting thing, so it is very... And I feel like it is very emblematic of the media we like a lot. Like Mad Men is literally, and The Sopranos are literally about hating yourself and hating everybody. And I'm like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Jockey Bacon watches 2 episodes and he's like, pacing sucks, fuck this is annoying, I don't care about any of this. And it's like, well, Jockey Bacon, how about you hate yourself more and then maybe you'll like Fire Punch better than fucking Chainsaw Man. And then you got this other idiot over here, you got EliteAri.
Mhm.
And my conclusion is just, he's too smart to think about this shit.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I think about a lot of the things. Now, this kind of plays into the reference thing earlier, even though it was obviously an X-Men reference, Kill Yourself, is like, EliteAri is so stupidity-brained that he wants, like, evidence for things. And the whole reason we're talking about art now is because you don't need evidence for any of this shit, and that's why it's good. But EliteAri has stumbled in here with his dumb fucking degree and his stupid fucking $7,000 a week job, and he wants to tell me that it wasn't an X-Men reference, and that he doesn't hate himself. I'm sick of it. So, Mia, let's hold hands. Anyway, back to Mia's actual points. Besides my meta commentary about why I keep these 2 idiots around.
The main point I have with Togata is that
I know you're blushing right now.
When it comes to the whole, I can't change my body, I can't have an operation or whatever, I don't think it's Fujimoto conflating sex change with gender expression. I think he's trying to say Togata would rather be perceived properly without having to explain it or justify it to anyone, but he can't make those changes physically, and because of that he feels like his only choice is to repress it, and that's why it ends very defeatist with, let's just go with older sister. He just picks whatever is easiest for the people around him because he can't escape being perceived by them, and that resonates with me way more than any dumb shit about, oh, my mom made me put on the dress to and made me act like a girl to protect me, and now I have this feeling. I think this is exactly capturing, I guess, my perspective on trances, and I think Fujimoto got some explaining to do. We're done.
Yeah,
no more.
I totally agree. I thought this was one of the most interesting thing that's that's the thing. I've said that there's so many times about like Fujimoto. What I always liked, it just feels very like deeply personal, but in like but wrapped up in a great story. And that's what I kind of love.
See, my perception is like the opposite, where I think he probably just watched a lot of movies and understands the trans experience more than him being trans. Because I also think, like, I don't really think like anything Fujimoto does is like raw. I think it's all like with a smirk of like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like Fujimoto should have stuff that I would like create, where it's like, it is like there's always this sarcastic like wall. Now there are specific moments where there aren't. And really, the only moment I can think of is the Togata argument scene. But there is always like especially when Denji is like pining for boobs or whatever. Like, it's funny and it's stupid, but it's also like real. But there's also the separation between the real emotion and the joke. And I feel like that's usually the case with Fujimoto. Like, even at the end when Denji's like, I want to have tons of sex, and he's shaking the TV with Kobeni in the background. It's like the part of it is, it's like basic sarcasm, but it's like more. It's like, obviously this is, I don't just want to repeat myself, obviously this is silly, but it's like the real emotion. It's sort of like there's a pretension around what is like deep or good, and it's like removing that and now, no, I'm circling back to like the raw elements, but portrayed in a very not raw way intentionally. So I guess I said, Bacon, you're an idiot, it's not raw, and that's how it's raw. Tune into Monday Night.
That's Fire Punch.
Yeah, like that is like, when I talk about the Fujimoto appeal, that is what I mean back into, and that is kind of the 3 layers.
I get what you mean.
Right?
Like Fujimoto is not pretentious. I think that's probably maybe a better way.
He is so much, but he like it's so good because like the joke makes you never seem pretentious when he has the same message as all these other idiots, basically, which is like live. Oh, thanks, Berserk.
But it's not.
But is it?
No, I don't think it's pretentious at all. Like, I've never got the feeling that it's like, oh, it's pretentious.
Because pretentious is like a feeling, and it isn't really anything, right? It's just like, oh, you like, I can see through the disguise here. But I kind of like, my experience is kind of like, yeah, I see that he tried to not be seen, and that's like so cool. Like, you're a genius, but also that's funny. Like, I'm giggling that you're trying to trick people.
I just don't think it's like trying to be something like smarter than it is, right? It's just
I guess that's not what I meant by pretentious,
you know,
but that is what pretentious.
But yeah, like it's this not pompous. And that's what I mean. Like, yeah, maybe raw's not right, but it's real. And yeah, that's what I like about it.
But I guess I think it's not real, but it's raw.
This is really interesting actually to me because I feel like this is the one thing in Fire Punch. This Togata scene is the one thing I can't think of. Well, the one thing I can think of that kind of doesn't have the Fujimoto like smirk on it.
Yeah,
it feels like in a sea of irony and all that sarcasm. There was just one moment where he was just being so real, and then Togata's dead. I was like, what just happened? I feel that's what
with a joke.
Kind of more. What exactly? Which joke?
Well, the Star Wars joke. I'll reminisce with you about a movie.
Oh, true. Yeah, but that's separate from what happened. You know, it's not like the actual act of the actual conversation was juxtaposed.
Well, the joke. In the actual conversation, there are like attempted jokes, but they like fail, and that's like part of the point where she's like, "You're dick," and he's like, I can't remember what Agni's saying in return, but it's like it's not trying to be funny. It's like using comedy, but it's like a thing. But it's also again like the relatable aspect is sort of like I feel like 99% of my life is sarcastic. Like I do have the Fujimoto smirk in like every interaction I have, and then there's like this 1% of the time where it's like a real interaction. And it is like that interaction. It's like, oh, this is terrible. And then to cap it off with a joke and then go back into it is like, oh, this is like the thing. So it's like emblematic in that sense of that experience, I guess. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I do think the one time it's played completely straight.
Is there a Chainsaw Man equivalent? EliteAri, stop thinking. I don't think like.
Part two.
So,
wait, I didn't
so Carl, what? Aaron, I was just gonna. Sub in here because Carl mentioned like you feel like you're like 99% of your life is sarcastic, but then I would also say like you're also like I would also describe Carl Entertainment as raw, like as real, and unpretentious. You know, like I would describe you in a many similar.
I'm just so smart. You know, EliteAri's the dumb one now. I'm the smart one. Because and it is definitely getting better as I get older. Like even bringing up that this is relatable is like I guess you could say that's like a rawer thing. But it's like different. It's like there's no stakes in this moment for bringing that up, and it's almost like an appeal of like, hey, isn't this relatable too, guys? Type thing. Whereas I don't know.
Then again, maybe the nicest you've ever been to me was like the first time I sent you like my link to my video where I referenced your video or whatever in the Patreon thing. You're like, oh my word, because you're like pogging out that someone like referenced.
Well, that's the first YouTuber I ever saw notice me, right, Bacon? So you know, maybe that was just what do you call it, selfish or something like that. And also, I just said nice things about you just before, by the way.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, you know exactly. No, but that was the raw. As a classic. You're saying something real, but then you have it in a thing of irony. So
I guess
you have to make jokes halfway through.
The joke in the Black Lagoon video about the Black Lagoon girl, as we refer to her in the Kyle Entertainment lore, was that was when it's like at its worst, where it's just like the negging flirting, and it's just like 100%, and then there's never a moment. Well, there actually kind of was a moment of like realness, but then it's like terrible, and you like want to kill yourself, and every time you think about it, you like punch something. Did you hear me?
And I think it's like one of the greatest moments in Kyle Entertainment cinema.
Yes, it was definitely worse when I was
one
younger.
Of the best scenes in Fire Punch.
True. But I forgot what I was saying. So you know. Anyway, if we go for a bit more longer, I might have to switch to the phone. But I've still got like 10 minutes of maybe. Actually, probably like 5 minutes. So.
Did we talk about Togata's death? Did we really? I don't know how much we got into that.
If you've got something to say, go ahead. It's cool. She's in the water. I mean,
I thought it was like a really, really cruel of Fujimoto to do the whole live again and drop that on Agni
again.
Good.
Oh,
it's so good.
It is really good.
Where she's like, mother, I'm going to say mother. And then she's like, oh, but Agni's not going to have a reason to live. And then she does the live thing. And it's because we kind of have to wait till next time to talk about this. But what is the theme of Fire Punch is like such an interesting question. And this is kind of like, obviously one is going to be like playing it straight and being like, well, the theme of Fire Punch is to live, because obviously if you die, you can't be happy. But if you live, maybe you will be happy eventually. But then there's like this moment where it's supposed to be like the second big reinvestment of that theme, and it's like, well, I'm just kind of manipulating him into wanting to live because I want him to live. And it's like themes are interesting and stuff. You know, Fujimoto, he's a smart man. But yeah, it's everything about this scene is so good. I think it capsizes it. The obviously one of the biggest memories in Fire Punch, I think, going through the first time is the theater scene of Togata. Like because you kind of forget that Togata is like dying. Or it's kind of the reveal that she's dying because she obviously a few chapters beforehand. I know Mia was going on a thing, and now I'm going on a thing. I'm sorry. But Mia, not Mia, Togata was has a thing where he is like, oh, when you die, and he's obviously describing his heaven, right? And it's like, oh, obviously it's movies, and you go to a movie theater, and like Luna is there, and Agni's like drowning, and then he shows up at the movie theater, and you're like, oh my god, feasibly I could see Agni dying and Togata becoming the main character for the last 30 chapters or something. So this isn't completely unbelievable, though you're probably not assuming that. And then you're going in, and Agni's there, and he's walking up, and then her
Yoinks
just
back.
him,
Yeah, that's hilarious.
yoinks him back, and it's just it's like it's like you can see it, and it's just like she pulls him back, and she moves forward, and I said she again, and it's just so good. Anyway, Mia, back to your originally scheduled programming.
I have a note that said cinema scene, holy soy, Chainsaw Man reference.
Sure is, fucking piece of shit Chainsaw Man ripped off all the good things.
True. There was a moment, I don't remember how long before. It was definitely after Togata had stormed away after the whole outing scene and before the death. But Nanetto says something about, oh, I wanna film for Togata so she can have something to watch when she gets back. And I was like, that's strange. I would only write that if Togata was gonna die. Why would Togata die now? And then, I mean, it was just that straightforward.
Yeah, because that was after the scene I was talking about earlier, where I think she's burning the cigarette or something. Yeah, it's good. I didn't even think about that. Not even the second time.
All right. Any other thoughts on Togata death? We kind of covered it a lot earlier, I feel.
EliteAri said, oh my god, this is great. Now the manga can be good.
Yep.
Crazy take. But you're kind of right, because the stuff after this is nuts. I couldn't believe the tree was happening already.
Oh my god, we're up to Evangelion. This is crazy. When we get the Evangelion and Berserk references at the same time.
I got a Berserk one, but I didn't get the Evangelion one.
Well, the Ava thing is just the big thing, and then it bursts apart, and then it's like floating in the thing, and they have the specific shot, the end of Ava, like not the final shot, but of the water coming in.
Say that again.
What do you want?
On the beach?
Yeah, the beach stuff. Yeah.
Okay. I thought that was the Vinland Saga season 2 reference.
It is definitely. Well, remember? Oh, they're catching fish bacon. I thought you were joking. Never mind. I remember Vinland Saga. But yeah, because they get that, and then obviously she does the Asuka thing where she grabs his face as he's crying at the end, and he's about to punch her, which is like Shinji choking Asuka and stuff. Mia, pretend you didn't hear that. I obviously it's true. EliteAri, you want to say it's not true?
I don't even know what you're talking about. Yeah. Well, you're not talking about the rape.
I thought the Berserk tree was very obvious because it was like drawn in a very similar way.
Yeah, the Berserk
thing.
That's,
I get that. Yeah. And
that's not a Berserk thing.
I was like, oh, that's the thing that Carl was referencing, like when the tree and they're all looking at it from the double-faced
spread.
The tree is obviously Berserk,
the tree.
Yeah.
No, it's not. The world
just
tree
like the
was not
Ganishka
invented by Berserk, you idiot.
No, but it looks just like the sky is glowing, just like the Ganishka one, right? Show me the.
The Ganishka, it is drawn exactly the same way.
EliteAri, just like Elden Ring.
No, it doesn't look anything like the Elden Ring.
Exactly the same way.
Yeah.
It's drawn in exactly the same way, Carl.
Whatever, another Berserk reference. But obviously, when he's got one arm and he's got his. We're not allowed to say the word. We're not allowed to say the potato girlfriend over here, who doesn't remember anything, and he's going to start trying to help her remember. Makes her Luna. That's obviously a Casca thingy. Of like, oh, the golden age is over. Oh my goodness, palling around.
Mentally inhibited.
Yes, I said potato. That's okay. I didn't come up with it. The fandom did, and they also like Donovan memes. So what am I supposed to say out here? But true. The greatest thing of all time. Berserk and Ava references in one chapter. I might die of happiness. But also there was like a tree, and oh my god, the kill. I'll kill her, kill him, kill me. That was pretty epic. And he's climbing the tree.
That was a great.
And
chapter.
Miller's trying to say. Mia, we'll see if you thought about this, but you wouldn't because you're smart and not like Miller the Killer. He was like, oh my god, remember when Luffy was, Nami and up the Drum Island thing? Shut up, obviously. That was stupid, not true. The...
What?
Because he's climbing up the thing and it's like,
okay, yeah, let's
Nami's
move on.
sick. Yeah. Oh, no! I might have to switch over in a second. Anyway, that's crazy, and then we got sisters to talk about. So, like I was saying, EliteAri, you moron, there was sisters and stuff, and trees and stuff. Wait, does anybody have anything special to say about trees and Casca girlfriends and getting dressed up and the Agni face, and then the sisters?
She didn't set a light when he punched her. It was crazy.
Now, EliteAri, did these two just talk over each other and you didn't hear anything?
Something a light auditor. Yeah, maybe.
Bacon, you're going first. What'd you say?
He punched her. He punched Judah at the top, and
he did a bunch of times. That was crazy. But then she was fine when they woke up. Mia, what were you saying?
Yeah, okay. So we're going on to what happens after the tree.
Talk about whatever you want.
Okay. So after this is absolutely insane to me. We're kind of gotten a weird Adam and Eve analogy kind of thing going on with Agni and Luna, but what stood out to me so much, and I mean, Agni funny face aside, we'll talk about that. It feels like Agni is just he's not on fire anymore, and it feels like he's just doing whatever he can to give himself a happy ending. He has gaslit Judah to think she's Luna, so he has his sister back.
He did it by accident.
But he willingly goes on with it.
He went with it, and then maybe she is Luna. You don't know.
He passes off the blame of the attack on Doma onto Behemdal. So he just decides, whatever, I'm just going to mold this to be my happy ending, and it's like he's making himself the villain kind of because of it. It's
that's a big thing towards the end.
Yeah,
because the ice witch, I kind of talked about that earlier, was like, oh, well, you're the bad guy, you just killed those kids. And even Togata, before Agni kills the kids, is like, yeah, the hero in the movie would have let him, would have thorfinned him, but oh well. And then Agni goes back and kills the whole family after that, and then he's doing all this stuff, and it's like, Agni, interesting character? ? My goodness, what's happening here? Does he deserve his perfect little princess? Yes, he does. He was on fire for like 10 years. Let him have his wife's sister.
True.
To make another reference, I thought it was a My Dress Up Darling reference when she was putting on all the costumes.
It's so good, the fucking paneling, and all of his little reaction shots at the end where it's like, cute, sexy, cute and sexy, or pretty and cute. I don't think it was sexy. But,
it's not a praise
no, it's just so good. And all the different outfits. And the schoolgirl one, oh my god, the great Fujimoto is anti-pedophilia. Unlike some, I'm looking at you, EliteAri's favorite author, where she's in the school thingy, and Agni's like, why is he in the school thing? It was a Mishoku Tensei reference, EliteAri catch up. Now, the, pedo, Lamel, she's in the school one, and Agni's like, what's with those clothes? Well, I guess that's probably just a why would they have a school thingy around, not a I'm not a pedophile joke. Well, anyway.
Okay, so can we talk about the meme face panel?
Yes, please.
He's so happy!
Is that a happy face?
Yes, because right before this, he's like, he has this, because he, for whatever reason, out of Judah's thing, which is like it's like trying to make you maybe consider that she is Luna, flaps like the photo. And it's like them of kids, and he's smiling, and he's like, "Oh, what a dead smile! I've never been happy." And then he's like, "Late," and then that's an actual smile, like he had a moment.
Okay,
I completely forgot that. Yeah, she had a picture, and then I was like, no, she is Luna, right? Because she had the picture. Right?
It's like the most ambiguous thing anybody's ever seen in their lives.
Wait, she's not.
Where'd the photo come from, EliteAri?
Because she has all these abilities. She can do whatever she wants. She can make stuff from matter and memories and to turn off abilities. And
that's what EliteAri thinks.
Okay.
No, we've never seen her use any of her other abilities.
So true.
And we've never seen this ability ever. We don't know. Like you'd expect like the blessed.
She had the photo because she's Luna somehow.
Maybe.
And Agni deserves Luna. You fucking evil piece of shit. and he's
But
so
then
happy.
Judah,
Did you see?
but then why would Judah lie the whole time? That's the question.
Because she isn't Luna, obviously, Bacon. What are you, stupid?
Oh, but is Luna in the top of the tree?
That is true.
Yes.
That's not true.
What if she
Okay, I
just
thought it was
like? What
that
if she has an
Judah
ability to
is
travel
Luna.
back in time and she is Luna because she traveled back in time, became Luna, or something like that? Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
crazy?
Everything with this idiot is time travel. Me, you notice that?
Yeah. I mean,
True.
she
Time
has
travel here,
she
time
can do
travel
anything,
there.
right? There's all these powers and stuff. The Ice Witch teleported that one time. Like, why can't they travel back in time? I'm sure they can. There's a way.
She just moved fast, and you thought she was teleporting like Goku.
Maybe.
Goku can actually teleport to her. Anyway,
No, he just moves fast, right? Dematerializes, turns into light.
no. Go ahead, Mia.
I'm genuinely shocked that your take is that the smile is genuine.
Absolutely.
thought
Well,
that
hold on. What could the other?
when I saw that, I thought immediately like, okay, this is why they brought up forced smile earlier. This is absolutely a forced
Have you
smile.
ever
This
seen
is-
the meme before? It's always like, "Oh my god, pain, but finally I'm smiling." Like that's the meme. So they all agree with me. So you must too.
Yeah, Reddit. Okay.
It's not just
No,
Reddit, by the way. I'm pretty sure it's a 4chan
I know,
reference.
I
So
know.
that
Yeah.
makes me even cooler.
I totally saw this as like alongside the whole Agni is literally just like lying to get his happy ending. This is totally fake smile. This is I'm going to tell her.
So he's not
that
enjoying dress up.
I mean, he is but he's
like a
he's
so cute
gaslighting
smile.
himself into believing
Well,
this
yeah,
is okay. He
that's
has
true.
yeah, it's he I mean, okay. I could see the debate then, has he genuinely convinced himself he could be happy here, or is it actually just straight up
I
he's
don't.
happy? I think he is to me it's a fake smile. He is trying to shape this to make it a happy ending for him, and he knows it's not, but he's going to fake the smile anyways. But I don't think he's thinking of it as a fake smile. That's my take.
Yeah. The yeah, I feel like the first time I read this, I was just like very happy for Agni in this moment. I didn't have any sort of contradictions. But then when I went back now, I was just like, oh, he's got. Well, some of this is sort of informed by stuff that happens later. Well, that my initial happiness thing. It's not until I went back this time where I'm like, oh, maybe this isn't the best. But even he has plausible deniability where he's like Luna, and she doesn't really understand that he's like, oh, maybe you're not Luna, but oh, let's be Luna. This is great. I think I talked about this more in the first part where I was like, oh, Fire Punch is so good because it actually makes you like. He's like the worst guy. He has the worst life in the world. This Agni, he's constantly in constant pain unless he's thinking about something. And he's not on fire anymore, and you can't help but not be the happiest boy in the world for him. Even if he wanted to punch her, and even if as he's walking through constantly, he's like, kill her, kill her.
And then Togata had
Kill Luna, kill her.
Then Togata had one of this moment where she's on fire and she's like, "Oh, I can't. This is the pain you feel every moment." I'm like, "Oh, wow."
Yeah.
Even Togata's like, yeah,
because he even repeats that a lot after he's not on fire. He's like, I don't even feel anything. Like it's not even cold anymore. But then they're like, well, it actually just got really warm because of the tree stuff, assumingly. But yeah, Agni's just living his best life. But Agni's also doing nice things. He stopped those evil rapers who well, I guess they're just patriarchal. I guess that's probably rape. All sex under patriarchy is rape, EliteAri. You know that. But they're like, women, come and be our slaves and do your duty as women. And they're all like, kill all men. And I'm like, oh my god, that's what I say all the time. And then they like make a dick joke or something. And they're laughing because dicks are bad, and everybody that has dicks are bad. Sorry, fellas. And it's all great. And he saved them. And then he nearly shot, and then he decided he was still going to live. And then he got back up and regenerated. Oh, what a great spot to stop. So he's happy. Take that, Mia. You're wrong.
I guess, dude.
I mean, I thought it was like a Guna face. Like I don't know.
Sure.
Like, it was just like.
I mean, that
really
is what it
uncomfortable.
is.
No, you know what it
Oh,
is?
yeah,
I have.
No, I think it's like he's going through a lot is happening around him here, and he's thinking, oh my god, I'm so happy. Let's not think about it. I think that's what's going through his head. He's like, oh, I'm happy now. Let's just like, I'm just not going to think
That's
about
what
anything
happiness
else, okay?
is in real life, EliteAri.
Right,
What are
okay.
you talking about? Of course.
Mm-hmm.
But you're
See,
with
they gotta
me,
hate
though.
themselves more.
it is like a denial of the reality of the situation.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the questioning of reality is like a big part of Fire Punch. Like, I don't think it's just exclusive to this moment. I don't think this moment is exclusively exemplary of it. Obviously, the Luna stuff is the biggest thing throughout, where he's like, is it Luna or isn't it Luna?
No, it's not.
But obviously, this is a story thing where it's like, oh, are we going to do some crazy twist somehow and it is Luna reincarnated or time travel or something like that? Shut up, EliteAri. You don't know nothing. You haven't read Fire Punch. And I feel like you're definitely supposed to think, well, this is Fujimoto. This story is crazy. There's somehow we're going to reveal somehow that this is Luna. And obviously the photo lends into that. You're 50 chapters in, of course, you know.
No.
Kill yourself, EliteAri. Tell him I'm right, Mia.
Well, I mean,
I'm
pretty
you
adamant.
betrayed me on this point.
I mean, things could obviously change. I'm pretty adamant that Judah is not Luna, and that's the reason.
Well,
why
yeah, my point is kind of that.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Like having a hard answer to this question is like stupid.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, everything.
EliteAri's got a very hard.
Yeah, it's not Luna,
obviously, because things happen, Lamau. Like that.
I think
matters.
the story works best if this isn't Luna, because as the main character, his ideal ending is to have his sister back by the end of it, and for Judah to have actually been a brainwashed Luna. So that's what he makes her be by the end of it. Well, by where we are now, the end of this section that we've read. And I think that plays a lot more into the themes than another twist on it. But obviously Fujimoto, the next chapter we read could change everything. So I'm not even gonna bother.
Remember how they were walking through like the plant thingy, and he was like, "Kill her." That was crazy, bro. He was gonna fucking kill her. He's a little crazy, this Agni.
What? Oh, yes,
crazy,
yeah. No, wait, what plant? You mean the tree?
No, the plant. Like wherever the sisters live is like some sort of plant.
Oh,
like
okay.
a power plant or a water plant. You know, plants.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
You mean
it's like industrial and stuff, huh? Yeah, it's a plant. That's spelt the same, I'm sure.
True.
Haha. But me as American, what the fuck does he know about spelling? You know what I mean?
True.
COLOR. Can you believe that, EliteAri?
Yeah, I spell like that sometimes. I
spell
mom
M-O-M. EliteAri's just waiting. That's only because of porn, EliteAri. You fucking goon up. Now, what are we talking about?
Luna.
I think we're
Fire Punch.
Yeah, I guess we're in predictions. I don't have any. I have no idea what's going to happen from here. I just
EliteAri acted like he had predictions.
I have one, but
and somehow he was
too
right
good
about
to be
everything
true
last time. So
there's no way this can happen. Okay, but I'm just so confident about all this Luna stuff because the big revelation is going to be that Luna never existed. There is no Luna. Like it's gonna be that like either Agni's memories were like manipulated by the Ice Witch or Sulia or whatever the name was, or that Sulia or the Ice Witch was being in the place of the sister. Like he never had a sister, and the Ice Witch kind of inserted themselves into Agni's life, I guess, in a way. That's what I'm thinking. Because that'd be really interesting.
I actually kind of took this for granted because I just kind of, when the reveal happened of these evolved humans, I think I just subconsciously was like, okay, so Luna's not actually his real sister. And then I just kind of didn't really think about how big of a deal that was. But yeah, I totally think Luna is Luna could be the Ice Witch character I keep forgetting the name of. But either way, I think 100%, I don't think they're biologically related.
Yeah, maybe. I think like the biggest thing,
you know what, they're okay for
Agni and Luna.
Oh boy.
Oh, and then the kid would have been fine.
True.
The kid could have been fine anyway, Bacon, right? You know, it's only like a percentage chance.
I could totally see where you're going with that idea that like Luna was kind of planted there to kind of set off the whole thing, maybe set off the grander plan. But I don't even know how Agni really relates to the grander plan. Like was Solia like planning to have all this happened with Agni? Was that
Well, what made me think
or was
this
Solia just kind of
was-
adapting to it?
Well, in the first introduction with where we meet the Ice Witch, she like talks about how she's known Agni for a long time and stuff, and how
True.
yeah, clearly she wants to motivate him to like keep living and stuff. And the first motivation he got was from when his sister died. So I think it could be interesting if the Ice Witch was that motivation initially, literally using Agni for some end, all the way from the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like the first thing that made me think of this, but I don't know. We'll see.
To me, that almost feels. It feels too simple. I don't know. It feels like I don't know. That would be the twist I would expect. And with Fujimoto, you know,
that's a good point.
the 3 layers or whatever. Like I feel like there's got to be a catch,
3 layers?
even if that's true. There's got to be a catch to it. I just don't know what the hell that could be.
Time travel.
Epic. Okay, before we continue with predictions, I was just scrolling through my notes. I opened them on my phone.
Sorry, go ahead.
Wait, what does sun do? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, sun still got to matter.
What if sun
gonna matter?
Is their sun?
Oh my
crazy.
God!
Whoa!
No.
Wait, did he spoil it?
Maybe.
Whoa.
That makes a lot
You
of
wouldn't
sense.
say that. It would be really funny, Kyle, if at some point
Just like
you
that
just
cum
dropped
joke
some.
earlier.
Oh,
They
true.
just didn't spell it different. Remember how we spelt cum, C-O-M-E, because we were probably getting censored, but it was actually intentional to foreshadow the sun, S-O-N thing.
That's.
Oh.
I feel like that has to be what's gonna
Or
happen.
maybe he is the actual sun.
It would be very funny if Kyle was just like, here is a just blatant out in the open spoiler, but you're on so many levels of irony right
You
now.
can
that
never
no one
tell
could
with
ever
this
know.
fella. He's creative. You
You just tell us one key twist, and everything else is bullshit.
Okay. Kyle,
The problem would be the
Kyle,
comment,
give us 2 truths and a lie.
Two truths and a lie?
You can't do
Two
this,
lies
Mike.
and a truth.
Oh no.
2 lies and a truth.
Okay.
Two lies
Well,
and a
hold on,
I
let
truth.
me
don't know.
think.
I don't know if I like this.
No, this is great.
I don't think Kyle has it in him.
Hold on, I'm thinking of a lie.
Oh boy.
Oh god, I might
No, you have
take
to
my
have 2
headphones
lies,
off.
okay?
I kind of want to be blind. Oh,
I can't do it. I'll fuck it up. Never mind. We're not doing it. No, I had a good one. Like, if you know Fire Punch and you know the first one, you're like, you're a genius. But I like the other 2, I can't think of it.
Okay, write it
I
down
don't
and
have
tell
to
us
leave
next
my-
week.
Everybody, write your
it down
2
and tell
truths
us
and a
next
lie in the comments.
Okay, everybody remind me to tell them my genius what I was gonna say next time. All right, everybody remind me. Tell me your genius, Kyle. That's what you're gonna say next time, and I'm gonna be like, oh, I remember. Anyway, just I have like miscellaneous notes now to completely derail. The following people thing is like a Fire Punch thing, and it's very cute.
What?
People just follow each other when they care about each other. Like Sun followed around Agni, and then
Yeah,
Agni followed around Togata, and Togata was following, and they're always like, "Leave me alone," and they just persist because they care about each other. Isn't that crazy?
It's like a Berserk reference.
What's a
Like with Puck following
Shut
Guts
up,
everywhere.
Leary.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill EliteAri one day.
Hey, wait,
and
is that not a
nobody's gonna
reference?
know.
I think that's a pretty direct reference. Like, kind of feel anyway.
Yeah,
what
it's
else
clear
you got?
reference.
Yeah. All right.
Don't fall for his facetious tone. No matter how much Agni struggles, it'll end tragically. That was probably a quote from somebody at some point, so that was pretty funny. Had that written down. Then I have my X-Men 3 reference written out, where EliteAri was obviously going to come first and say that, and then I was going to go,
No.
good job, EliteAri, for figuring
Maybe
it
the
out.
worst theory you've ever had, potentially.
It's literally 1-to-1. It's literally
It's
1
not even
million
close.
% true.
You
Don't
know
worry,
what I'm
Nier, I'll
so
send you the
curious
screen right
about?
afterwards.
I'm so curious what side Mill the Killer is going to take on this. If he's going to think that you're dumb or I'm dumb.
He's going to say, kill yourself, whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares what Miller the Killer thinks?
Well, I
He doesn't
on
know
my side,
X-Men.
okay? True.
Which
Yeah, me
X-Men?
too.
Which X-Men are you
X3.
saying? X3. All right, I'm gonna go.
Where they
I'm gonna go
recruit the
watch that.
Juggernaut and the other bad guy to fight the
I'm gonna
bad
go.
guy.
I'm gonna watch it, and the next time we record, I'm
Oh,
gonna tell you
boy.
whether or not it was a
Yes,
reference.
please. Okay, good. I'm so confident. You'll be on my side. It's
I don't know
obvious.
why the fuck he's so confident. He's like the most retarded point EliteAri's ever made in his
All right.
life.
Yep.
And I don't like that word, EliteAri.
Mhm.
It's like just legit. Like I'm pretty sure that chapter she makes another like early 2000s superhero reference, and I said she again, and I said
Did you see
retarded.
the B
So I'm in all
benches
sorts
in
of
the
trouble.
movie theater? Wasn't that crazy? That was an Avengers reference. It was
I
one of
want
the
to kill
posters.
EliteAri.
I saw it there.
Murder
It
it.
had a B
I want
instead
to
of an
fire
A.
punch it.
Mhm.
We're going back to my notes now. Turns out chapter 1 wasn't a misunderstanding. Jockey Bacon joke. I love that. The meme face. No, there was one I was missing, guys. I'm gonna scroll up, Oh, there's one other Chainsaw Man reference that EliteAri is going to be like, that's not even Chainsaw Man reference. When Agni beats the Magneto guy with the mustache, he like falls down and he's like bowing in front of him, and it's like when Aki was like bowing before the Darkness Devil. It's the same framing and stuff. Isn't that just so cool? You're literally retarded. I want you to die.
What a great reference. That's a good one.
It's the same. Oh my god. I'm going to kill him. He's just dead. He's getting blocked. He's gone.
All right.
I'm adding you back to the group chat, EliteAri, a million times, and I'm going to call you all night.
All right.
There's literally no debate. There's literally no one in the world that would debate this point. It's literally...
I didn't debate it. I agreed. All right.
I'm going to kill him. That was the last of my notes. Back to your shitty predictions. Tell me about how Luna is Luna again, you fucking moron.
All right, here's another prediction, which isn't a prediction at all. It's just like, what's going to go on here? So clearly they've been working on making a movie. They have a bunch of footage. What is like the end goal of this footage, I wonder? Like, how will it come into the story in the end?
Most independent movies don't get made as...
it's going to get canceled in production!
Ooh.
Oh my god!
Oh, actually, it turns out we have no ending because... that's the whole
cool.
point. Everybody's waiting for Volume 9 of Fire Punch.
Yeah, it's possible.
Peak, actually.
The camera probably got burned up.
That's also very possible.
Or he got sucked into the tree.
That's impossible.
The tree was sucking.
Yep.
That's
Tree looks
true.
like Berserk, though, guys.
Okay, Agni's gonna die, and he's gonna be in the cinema like Togata, and then he's gonna be able to watch the footage of the Fire Punch movie they made, and then Togata's gonna be there, and she's like, "That was peak." She's gonna be like, "That was peak fiction," and then it's gonna end.
That'd be cute.
We don't do cute around here.
I think what's going to happen is that an admiral is going to come off that beach shore and then challenge Agni to a fight.
Who?
And
That was a reference
Agni
to something,
Kai.
right?
Oh,
Jockey Bacon just made a
Admiral
joke. None of
Zhao.
us got it.
Sorry.
oh my god. That'd be
He
crazy.
got interrupted by Kyle. Unbelievable.
Well, these idiots didn't get it, and I still didn't get it, so I don't know what you're talking about.
One day you'll get it.
One day you'll get it.
Okay.
He made a reference.
Any
to
other
something.
predictions?
No, that's it.
Yeah, I feel like it's so unpredictable. I feel like it's just going to continue down the path of what I was pointing out about how he's kind of forcing a happy ending for himself, and I don't know how that's going to be done from here. But yeah, I might binge read the rest of it today. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll be back
Maybe-
next week. My goodness.
Maybe it'll.
Yeah,
There's
we will
only
be.
30-something chapters to go. 30? No,
That's
less than 30,
crazy.
right? 28, I think.
Jockey Bacon,
Oh, 20.
how is Fire Punch gonna fall off?
Fall
What's the worst thing Fujimoto's gonna do to make this fall off? 'Cause it's gotta fall off.
Introduce a character that can cut down trees real good.
That's a good one. You mean like a Chainsaw Man?
Yeah, maybe something stupid like that.
All right, I see.
That would be epic. I wish that happened. Agni better show up in Chainsaw Man for real. He'll be the Fire Devil EliteAri. Can't wait.
We already saw the fight.
Oh yeah, that whole thing, the Chainsaw Man
We didn't
Church
see
and
it?
the Fire Devil. Yeah,
yeah.
That's a Fire Punch.
Oh, and
reference,
he's got a religion. I bet. Oh, that's not even similar, right? EliteAri. They just
Wait, is there a religion?
He's kind of like Moses.
in both. Yes, EliteAri.
What's the
You don't
religion
remember the
in
Chainsaw Man
Man?
Church? The Chainsaw
Oh
Man
my
Church?
god, it's actually a church. I never considered that it was a church. That's crazy. No, that's true. Yeah, you know what? That is a reference.
All right, I
Idol
think we're,
moment.
all right, we're done.
All right.
That's the man you
Aye,
follow,
aye.
chat. The man that doesn't believe in X-Men and doesn't believe in churches. I believe in churches. I always tell Jockey Bacon. Well, if you have final thoughts, anybody, besides, I'm excited for next time. Speak them now. Not all at once, guys. Not all at once.
Let me go through my notes. It's kind of funny when there was a cult that suddenly grew around Agni out of nowhere, but I'm sure we said this at some point. So, yep, it's all my notes.
True. Your notes are just one page. It says, "Ah, that was funny."
Yep.
That's what I did earlier, remember, when I went through all the group best gags?
True.
Can't wait to do that next time. Okay, audience, well, you know the drill. You're reading along with us. You know, you got the rest of the manga to do. It'll be on everybody's media checklist before the end of the night, except for me, because I have to be up for work in about 4 hours. Isn't that epic? Now, that's it, I think. My goodness. We're only one video left, and then we'll do Fujimoto's next project.
The look back anime.
We read them all. Absolutely not. We hate anime here, especially Chainsaw Man ones. And Vinland Saga ones. Take that. I hate everybody. Jockey Bacon, what do we say to these videos?
Thank you for watching. Support links in the description. Thanks.
Thanks!
Bye.